left hand might be as legible as my right hand.
And commissioners, we are live.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. All this March 7th meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Please everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning once again. Here we are, March already. Feels like a last week of been just lots going on. Lots of meetings, lots of conferences. St. Patty's Day in the midst of all that. That was interesting. We'll talk about that in a minute. I don't think we're getting some rain today, so I'll put hopefully some fire danger on hold for a while. So looking forward to that. So without further ado, we'll start off with some public comment this morning. If anybody wants to just come up to the podium and state your name, and Fancy will get you taken care of in terms of time. You have 3 minutes.
Right. Good morning. My name is Troy Cooley. I live at 5304 Terra Heights Drive in Manhattan, out by the west side of the lake. The reason why I'm here at the meeting this morning is dealing with Riley County's short-term rental. And with our neighborhood, we've had numerous short-term rental VRBO, B&B locations within 100 to 500 feet of my house. We've had issues over the years dealing with excessive noise, excessive traffic. And currently we have a STR across the street that's non-compliant. And I guess that's one of the big reasons why I'm here, but I'm also going to be addressing the planning and zoning board as well. I guess what I'm looking for is some type of information or advice dealing with non-compliant, as well as who's going to enforce certain laws and regulations that go unchecked. Because after speaking with Bob Isaac this past Monday, he had mentioned that there are certain protocols and certain guidelines that they can go by. But that's one of the things where if the property owner chooses not to apply for the license for the STR, then that goes into another thing of planning and zoning is trying to be kind and respectful, but also inform them that they should be compliant. And I think that's something that I'm going to talk with planning and zoning further to see if there's something that we can tighten up with some of those regulations to actually get those people. And I'm not sure if a fine or some other type of process to actually get somebody in compliance is necessary. But I think if dealing with the operating a business outside of a zoning, and I think it's the part of if the person does apply for the STR and the license, then I believe that they would be in compliance. But because they're operating the business that's not permitted there, then I think that's the issue. But that's something that I wanted to kind of address to see if there's something as far as the commissioners would be able to talk more about with, I guess, giving the teeth.
For less than 30.
Thank you. Giving the teeth to that department to possibly enforce, as opposed to going through a long-term legal process. Yeah. Double check this thing. Yeah. Other than that, it's just. Thank you.
Well, you can finish.
Yeah, it was just the main thing of, and I think with all neighbors in respect, but most of the time you can deal with your neighbors, so communicating and corresponding. When you have a STR move in, and especially the one issue is the county has not been notifying, as per regulation, they've not been notifying that an STR is in the neighborhood. So when you have something like that and you don't have availability to contact that homeowner and tell them what issues you actually have to involve the police. And most of the time when the police get involved, they look at it as it's a civil matter, but we don't want to get involved. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, can you say how much does 162 play into that? I mean, that's the property owner as far as nuisance. I don't think it plays much of a role.
No, I don't. I think it'd be a reach to extend this to enforcement of a specific regulation like that. I think our 162 is really more directed to trash and property, right? You know, in some way. I don't think it's gonna cover it. And quite frankly, that's not law yet.
Yeah. We're running into that. I'm hearing running into this same type of issue here in town as well. So it's not just a rural issue, it's a city issue with this particular entity.
They're still trying, I think. It's a new thing, nobody's.
Everybody's learning.
Nobody's getting
Both the
out.
operators. Oh, yeah.
Create some
Yeah.
enforcement for things because, and unfortunately, it's not most of them, but this is that cause trouble for everyone.
And those are the ones that you'll hear.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where all the resources will be devoted.
Right, but we do need, need to have some way of enforcement on some of these things.
I think that is a discussion that needs to be had. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Anybody else with public comment this morning? Okay.
Morning, Commissioners. Elizabeth Ford, Human Resources Director. I just wanted to confirm with each of you that we can do the community corrections interviews on the 21st. There's been a couple days thrown around, there's been some emails, and we do have time available that day from 11:35 to 1:15. You have City County that day at 4 o'clock. And there are some other afternoons, but like the 18th, you have law board, so we would have to do it afterward at 2 o'clock. I think the 7th is not available. And then the 25th and 28th are the afternoons are available, but we're pushing it back then farther. So if the 21st works.
What time did you say?
11:35 to 1:15.
That would work for me, but
Yeah, I realize I've got a doctor's appointment that day at 2.
yeah, I've got one at 2:10, so.
Okay.
So I think if we got done, that would give us 45 minutes and maybe time for you to get across.
Yeah.
Town where you need to go.
I basically have to go across town, probably across Anderson. I don't think I need to explain how difficult of a challenge that is.
So it goes to 1:15.
1:15, yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna need a little time and then we'll try to be as fluid as possible with the candidates. I mean, they are internal, so we'll be able to just kind of as soon as we're ready to get the next one going. So that you'll have a few minutes to discuss as well.
I do have to ask one question here on all this though. Why are we waiting so late in March to go through this process?
Well,
When we know the candidate or when we know the current director themselves is going to be gone at the end of March.
right, so originally when we brought the proposal, that pushed us back because we wanted to add that time, that get a calculation for the 4-month, 5-month.
Okay.
So then we set the date, when you approved it, we set the date, but the earliest date was the 21st. I know Shelley wanted to do it the 7th, which agreed we could, but I think one of the commissioners had something, so we couldn't do it the 7th, couldn't do it the 4th, the 11th, because that's, you guys have Nancy has you guys taking, going to a hearing. Something, I don't even know what it is, but
County
legislative hearing, so that all wouldn't be present. So yeah, it's not, I mean, it wasn't in the plan to push it this far back, it's just how busy everybody is.
I didn't know if we had to wait until the very last one to do this as
No.
an interim thing or
No.
this could have been discussed maybe
Well,
earlier in
yeah.
February or,
Well.
I mean, I'm just,
We weren't made aware until well after the budgets were approved and then well into the year that the budget had to be changed because of the staffing change. So that was what pushed us back to begin with. We originally thought we were fine and we created a budget with the director in mind. And then one of the long-term employees who, because of her tenure makes a significant amount of money, decided not to retire in April and moved her date back to the end of the year and change the budget scenario. So yeah, I mean, the timing of everything is not ideal. We have plans in place and we have budgeted for what we were expecting. Life just didn't turn out that way.
okay.
And you're using only Mondays and Thursdays for it.
Well, we can look at other days as well.
I can tell you right now, Tuesdays and Wednesdays aren't gonna work for me. Fridays I can probably make
Fridays, yeah,
work.
that's what.
March and April,
Yeah.
March and April right now are busy because we've got performance evaluations and 2 ISO audits and I'm gonna need to be there on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, so we
Most
could,
Fridays are good.
Fridays are always a little slower for me.
yeah, so we could do, there's several days that the elections board has the chamber reserved as well as all of our other conference rooms. And so looking at the calendar then for that.
Well, elections aren't all that important, and particularly this March election. you know,
So,
it's not
okay,
really-
that-
To all the media, that was Commissioner Ford.
Sarcastic. So we could, yeah, Clancy just offered his conference room, so I could look at next Friday. Which I don't have a calendar for, so that would be the 15th. Yeah. Thoughts on that afternoon? Which is a week ahead. Are you all
I'm
available?
fine with that. But it's up to- I need to know those.
I think so. Let me double check my calendar.
Okay,
I'm gonna say it's 90% sure, but let me just double check that and I'll send you.
okay, so if the 15th doesn't work for John, we'll leave it at the 21st, otherwise I'll let you all know on the 15th.
Okay, well,
I'm
that be
thinking that's
morning
correct, but I
or
just need to check and make sure
morning or
I do.
Do
afternoon?
you have a preference?
Afternoon, for sure.
Afternoon. Okay, all right, so we'll start about 1:00.
Got it.
Okay, you let me know for sure, otherwise we'll plan on the 21st. Thank you very much.
So it's John delivering news this morning, so it's not good.
It's bad news.
Oh, no.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Allen at Public Works. I got a couple road closures notices to let you know about. First one is Bowman Road will be closed to traffic at the intersection of Rosencutter and Bowman Road from March 12th to the 14th. That was originally scheduled for Tuesday through today. Railroad pushed it back and now it's 12th to the 14th.
We will get a press release out. I've got a lot of people not happy about that because I gotta go all the way down to South Manhattan to get out to the transfer station. I guess it is what it
It's the
is.
only way we just
Yeah, I know.
work on their tracks.
I understand. I understand.
Do that. That's the best way to do it. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And then we're looking at replacing the structure on Sweet Creek Road. This is scheduled to begin March 25th. It's approximately 0.5 of a mile east of Center Hill Road. Sweet Creek Road will be closed through traffic during construction. Center Hill Road to Hall Ravine. The project expected to be completed by Friday, April 5th. Yes. Thank you.
And last but not least.
Have to let him speak.
That's very true. Oh, you could say last name. I do have a request for an executive session to the board for during my admin time. And then as part of that, because I'm going to need that time, I'd ask to move what's scheduled now during my admin time on Senate Bill 162 to the end of the meeting after Julie gives the presentation.
That's quite a bit, you know.
It really is.
I mean, what if I had something planned right at 11:15, right at the end of the meeting? I mean, it just doesn't matter, does it?
No, it really doesn't. I mean, it does to you. I mean, you guys, you can make the decision that 162 goes down the drain. I'll know why it didn't.
So,
Nice comeback.
so Clancy, how long will that administrative? I be at the end of the meeting.
The end of the meeting, probably 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I moved to add an executive session to, Max's time at 10:15 and move the 162 discussion to the end of the meeting.
I'll second that.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded to add an executive session to Fancy Homes Administrative Work Session time. Thus moving the discussion on Senate Bill 162 to the end of this morning's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Anything else? Going once. Twice. Public comment is closed. Moving on to commission comments this morning. Commissioner McKinley.
All right, well, it's a busy week. Having a week, Thursday afternoon, I had a couple of calls from some residents with questions about county operations that I looked into on Friday, and one of the callers was pretty upset, said that employees were lying to him, and I explained that just because he disagreed with them, does not mean they were lying. Later that Thursday was the NBAF Community Liaison Group meeting. They updated some of what's going on out there. Presently, they have 300 full-time employees now, and they're getting ready for the final federal inspection. There's a whole series of inspections before the thing actually opened. And most of the scientific stuff will be continuing at Plum Island until this is fully functional, but they have started activities in some. They've got using the BSL 1 and 2 labs, which is the lowest levels, because those are approved, but the high level 4 is the one that's waiting. Right now, they said about a third of the work is done here and 2/3 at Plum Island. And there's no animals in the facility yet for what they're doing. And when they do start bringing in animals, they wanted to emphasize they don't bring in sick animals to judge them. They working on stuff they already have. I guess there's been some discussion on that publicly.
Yeah, I can see that.
And, Friday, met with Clancy about several things, including the Senate Bill 162. We'll be at the Capitol next Monday, and then also about the University Park property swap. Then I met with Anna Burson, appraisals, and asked how my home value was. Just not because I didn't have a question. I mean, mine went up 7%. I wasn't questioning, but just to learn how the process worked. She went through it all and explained, showed how the backup, what goes on. It was a good education. I learned a lot. And I had a call earlier in the week from a constituent about the value, giving them their number for the appeal process. And she said they've already been out there working with them, getting the information, working with them. And then also I got some of the truth about some of the allegations that a former employees has been spreading around. I've got some of my calls for some of that stuff. And then also discuss a little bit if they're relocating some of the people in the office for a little bit of relocations going up there, not major remodeling as some were saying. Monday was that focus on building rural communities, put on the Raleigh County Extension. It was a really good conference, a lot of information. And then their primary speaker, that Ben Winchester, was quite a presentation. Really enjoyed that. Wednesday was the township officials meeting. We had a lot of good presentations for them. And then actually Wednesday morning before that meeting, I had another call about the animal shelter.
That's funny.
And then Wednesday afternoon, the Adabus quarterly meeting, K-State cut back their funding for them this year that they used to cover free rides for all students anywhere. So now, and that's reduced ridership. And K-State does still pay for the free rides from there's parking out at the stadiums that they can run the buses off on campus. And then they're looking at a new bus, and they found out, as we found out, the prices have skyrocketed in the last couple of years.
I think it's like almost 30%.
Everything else, things keep blowing up, especially vehicles.
Yes.
And that was what I had.
Okay, Commissioner Foki.
Okay. Well, Monday, I too attended the Focus on Building Rural Communities Conference up in Leonardville. Keynote speaker Benjamin Winchester had an excellent presentation. I really enjoyed that on rural communities. Talked about demographics, community members, and leadership, and some of the misconceptions on population numbers kind of thing. So that was really interesting. I'm looking forward to getting a copy of this PowerPoint. I asked him if he had a book. He said, "No, I'm not a good writer."
You're pretty good to me. He's a good speaker too.
Yeah. So other speakers included Wayne Bell from SBA as SBA Regional Administrator, Tricia Purdon from the Governor's Office on Rural Prosperity, Eric Pedersen, Network Kansas, and Jeff Wick, the CEO of WTC in Wamego. I did sit across from him at the conference and got quite a bit of information on how they're going to be expanding. Then they did a panel discussions of local rural leaders towards the end of the day. That was really, that was really interesting to hear from actual people that are fairly new in the community. So some really sharp people that have been moving into taking care of the rural communities and leadership. There were a lot of people there, so it was a really well-attended conference. Wednesday, I attended the annual township official meeting at Potter Fall. Various county, state, and presentations were made in addition to the K-State. Foundation presented the EDGE plan, which is really quite intense. I don't know how they're going to do all that, but it's really quite a project they're looking at. Let's see. I'm still continuing to recover with physical therapy like 3 times a week. That's why my schedule is kind of crazy. Getting back to meetings, events, but taking my time to rest and do a lot of exercise. That's all I have.
Okay, I'll try to be quick here. Long week for me too. Thursday had a couple of different Zoom calls. One with the Council of Foreign Affairs. Their usual monthly state and local officials webinar. This one was responding to immigration influx in the United States. Probably imagine it was a pretty robust call. Teresa Cardinal Brown, Senior Advisor to Immigration Policy in the Bipartisan Policy Center, discussed reforms to the nation's immigration policy and how those of us at the state and local officials level can manage those influxes. I won't go into further detail on that. Second Zoom call was KAC's February's Connecting Kansas call. This one was the Midwest Road Usage Charge Pilot Program. It's kind of the second phase part of that. Sarah Copeland from Burns and McConnell, and as part of the Kansas Department of Transportation's Partner Program, discussed this 3 months pilot program on how a pay per mile usage charge could work in the state of Kansas. Those interested in participating in that program can visit midwestruc.org, fill out the form. Those participants can also receive up to $100 for being part of that program. And that data and information will come out at a later time. Friday, visited the doctor once again, nothing ordinary. Just trying to figure out how to progress moving forward. Friday, I also came down and voted in the presidential preference primary. I would just like to point out how quick and painless that advanced voting process is. I was the only one there. I think there was 5 election officials there over the noon hour. Staff is friendly, helpful, as usual. Appreciate their work and effort. Appreciate the fact that they're willing to work a 3rd election cycle this year. And they were, like I said, helpful, friendly, very energetic as usual. So appreciate that. Saturday evening, I went out with RCPD, both on a ride and walk along for Fake Patty's Day. I feel like I got a lot of apologies to give to people from the past. I just really, really do. They was all mostly centered in the Aggieville Business District. Last year I went out during the day. This time I went out at night. I was there till about 12:30ish, close to 1 o'clock. Apparently I missed out on all the real fun after I actually left, so I probably should have just stuck around. But did want to give thanks to Lieutenants Ingalls and Bordnick for kind of being my guide for the evening, this excursion. I can just tell you, just as a 30,000 foot view, this is an event that isn't going away. We're going to have to kind of figure out how to steer into it. It's not going to disappear and go away. And it seems to kind of still kind of be shifting and moving to the Aggieville district, and we're just going to have to accept that. I think we're going to have to go back to more of a format that we had pre-COVID. We're going to have to open up the entire operations, and we're all going to have to get seriously involved in it. There was a lot of over intoxication this year. Very, very noticeable. So got a couple of good stories. I'm not going to share them with this morning, but it is what it is. Monday, I too attended that focus on building rural communities. It's been pretty well summarized. I won't go through that. Tuesday, met with the chamber. as a kind of a member of their new economic development strategic plan that they're going through. Their plan is to try to focus on an increase in population, wage, and both growth. It's kind of a vision or strategy that they're having moving forward. They're working with Matt Tarleton out of Atlanta, Georgia. He kind of helped work on the 2018 Manhattan project, so he's got some knowledge and background for what's going on here. City of Manhattan School District, of course, Riley County, K-State, MATC, Chamber, Greater Community Manhattan Foundation, the Black Entrepreneurs of the Flint Hills are all kind of part of this group, kind of talking about this. So it's kind of figuring out how to access regional economy, eco development, and ecosystem, and trying to kind of develop 4 to 5 priorities, shared priorities amongst this group to influence the 3 things that I talked about earlier. His group will be doing individual interviews with group members March 25th through the 27th, approximately 30 minutes. Figure out how that works when that time comes. Wednesday, I also attended the township meeting. That's been pretty much summarized. Probably don't need to go through that. And then finally, yesterday, we set up doing it on a Friday. We had a pre-law board meeting yesterday to fit everybody's schedule. That meeting's on the 18th. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend that meeting, but nothing serious is going on. We'll have some awards. We spent most of our time talking about St. Patty's Day, the ups and the downs, so on and so forth. Couple other things, the strategic plan to talk about. They are shifting some things around, trying to find some cost saving measures as they kind of work on the 2025 budget. They'll be working with each one of the law board members, presenting that over the course of time there as we work through the budget. Nothing too exciting in March's meeting. April, May, June, then is the budget. So it'll get exciting from there. And that's all I got this morning.
You okay if I rapid fire through business, Commissioner?
Yes, let's do that, please.
Board.
Yes.
First item, need a motion to approve contractual agreement with Icon Structures Inc. in the amount of $457,500 for renovations of the 4th floor Plaza East building for Riley County elections renovation.
I would make a motion to approve the contract with Icon Structures for $457,500 for the renovation to the 4th floor of the Courthouse Plaza East.
Second.
Been moved and approved to the contract with Icon Structures for $457,500 for renovations to the 4th floor of the Courthouse Plaza East. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please sign.
You can just give all those to me and I'll sign them as we're
You bet.
talking about other things.
You bet. Next, Commissioner, need a motion.
Really?
Need to approve real estate sales data search service agreement and contractual provisions with Back Nine Realty for appraiser's office.
I vote to approve appraiser real estate sales data search service agreement with and contractual provisions for Back Nine Realty.
I would second that.
That's for a year, is that right, Anna?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
just checking on that, okay. It's been moved and approved to approve the appraiser's real estate sales data search agreement and contractual provisions with Lori V from Back Nine Realty. I can't pronounce your name. So.
Aye.
Just want to clarify one thing on that real quick. It is renewed on a yearly basis. We don't come back before you guys every year.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next, Commission, need a motion to approve. This is for the chair. Need a motion to approve highway use permit granting Wildcat Services Inc. permission to install new culvert for a driveway at 6006 Tuttle Terrace.
I would make a motion to approve the highway use permit granting Wildcat Services Inc. permission to complete work as outlined in permit.
Second.
It's been moved and approved for the highway use permit granting Wildcat Services Inc. permission to complete the work outlined in the permit. All in favor?
Thanks again, Chair only. Next, Commissioner, need a motion to approve appointments to the resolution appointing Riley County representatives to council advisory boards.
We have to do those individually or?
Nope, just one motion.
Okay. I move to approve the appointments in resolution 021524, appointing the Riley County representatives to council advisory boards.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and approved to approve the advisory board appointment letters and resolutions as outlined. All in favor?
Aye.
All three, please. Next, Commissioner, need a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
I would make a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
Second. Motion and second to approve payroll and accounts payable. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioners, next you have Elizabeth Ward at 9, which it is 9.
Okay. So what's that? Yeah, gotta go back to business now.
All right. Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. Elizabeth Ward, Human Resources Director. Here with our monthly Human Resources update and review. Some of the information that you see here each month, we just keep on there as a regular kind of what HR is responsible for. Here's our current recruitment and retention numbers. So our regular employees has gone up to 292, which is a little bit high for us. But remember, our election workers who work pre-election and come in on a regular basis are included in our regular employees. So we should see that. I was going to say we should see that even out, but probably not until closer to the end of the year.
That is the new number this year.
Yeah, and actually it'll probably grow up just a little bit more. So we did bring on 6 new employees in our regular employees last month. And so that puts us up to 14 for the year. We had 2 separations last month and 6 total for the year. Our turnover rate went up slightly. We were at the high 14% last month, so we're 15.25. And our average tenure is really about the same. That takes quite a bit to make a difference there. So our current opening.
That annual rate, is that over the last year, or you're just talking about just so far this year?
No, so
Program.
the tenure or which?
The
Turnover.
Turnover is specific to this. Yeah, it's
This
12 months, but it changes each month.
Right.
So it's a 12-month look
Oh, it is
back.
a 12-month.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but not to the calendar year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In your world, what's about average for organizations?
Well, so it depends on different types of organizations, but I recently saw a number for municipality, which is not well researched, but it was 28 to 30% for municipalities. So, I mean, I think 10 years ago, we would not have liked this number. Maybe even 6 years ago, we wouldn't have liked this number, but this is a pretty good number for our current labor market. Yeah. And I was just by chance I came across that. I thought that was really interesting. But if you get into like some of the manufacturing or their kind of manual labors, you're talking 80 to 150%. That's when you really have to hustle. All right, current openings. We do have 8 current openings in 4 departments. So we've got Public Works has 4 openings. You'll only see one of those is for 3 openings. So you'll see that job listed once only. And then EMS has 2, and Planning and HR have as needed positions open. So they're going to be our part-time positions. All right, so something we do every year is we contact employees who are eligible to retire, either because of CAPERS eligibility or because of an age and meeting like the federal retirement age. So this is just self-reporting. It's trying to help get us an idea for budgeting for the next 3 years. We try to ask, do you have any plans? Are you thinking about that? So right now we have 4 people expected to retire in 2024, 4 in 2025, and then I've got another 4 expected in 2026. These are, again, self-reported. Some people obviously haven't made any set plans with 25, 26, so they wouldn't know. And some people really like to hold that close to their vest and not necessarily share that. But it's interesting to kind of look ahead. And then we try to do our best to project how much that will cost as far as critical leave payout and PTO payout. And then of course, we'll have to start budgeting for successions and replacements. All right, I'm happy to let you guys know that we did have that first CPR training. We've been talking about that for a while. So that was on the 23rd of February. We had 4 participants, which was a little bit smaller than they expected to have, but Lieutenant Spillman and his partner led the training and they had really good feedback. They had really good participation. One of the things that they considered after having that is rotating the location. So instead of only doing it at EMS, potentially doing it at some of our like a Public Works, Health Department, trying to move it around a little bit to where some of our employee groups are. One of the things that's going to be coming in front of you very soon is a consideration for nominations for NACO and Flint Hills Leadership Academy. We participated in both of those in the last year, and previously we've been consistently participating in Flint Hills, and then NACO has been something we've done through the years, not necessarily consistently. We also looked up and found information about Leadership Manhattan, which is another local leadership. It's similar to Flint Hills Leadership, but more specific to the Manhattan area. They have very similar cost. I don't know, it's just something we'll bring, Vivian and I will bring you, we're on the calendar to bring that to you in the next week and a half. And we'll just give you the information on all three and see if you would like to commit to participation in those. All right, so we continue to have our focus group, which is looking at that leadership opportunity and supervisor opportunity. Michelle has started her meetings with the onboarding group, so we are trying to figure out how we're going to really welcome and onboard employees so that they have a more consistent entry into Riley County. There's quite a bit of data on how much tenure or how much retention you get by how an employee is brought on and trained. And our department heads and supervisors would say they feel like that's an area that's lacking. You know, just some of it's just logistical, how to use Paylocity, how to schedule it, you know, those kinds of things. And then some of it's more about, you know, the feeling of being a part of a team. The Employee Day Committee has determined that the theme for Employee Day 2024 will be one team. And they've got some kind of team related speakers that they're trying to hunt down, chase down. They've got really great ideas, but we don't have a committal necessarily from the big one that they're really excited about. And so working on that, but it'll be more of like how we put like high performing teams, like actual sports teams theories into our Riley County day-to-day processes. And I think it'll be pretty exciting. So we did finish the employee manual. I might be the one that's the most excited about that, but we spent so much time on that. So the edits, I got all of the draft to the department heads, and the edits were turned back on February 16th. So now I'm going through their suggestions, edits, questions. Some of them are simply, you know, just questions on what does this mean for our employees? And then we have 2 presentations scheduled to you to give you the overview and then answer your questions on the 21st and the 25th. My intention is to get the manual to you a week before that, so the draft manual, so that you can look through it. It's still almost 90 pages. I think we were sitting at 88. We'll see when we get done with the rest of the edits. So it's not 300, but it's still, you know, a chunk that you might want to look at it at a time. We did complete our workers' compensation audit and have good results from that. No issues, no concerns. And then this is still on here. We don't have any resolution from the Department of Labor, but still tracking that potentially in April. That's when a lot of people expect there to be an announcement, the DOL salary threshold. An interesting thing I learned when I was at the legal conference a week and a half ago is that almost everything in this is expected to be basically approved, except there is a contingent for COLA starting in 27, so an increase, a scheduled increase, which is what blocked this actual, I don't know if I should call it legislation or this new regulation, the last time it came around. So some of the legal consultants there thought it was interesting that part still remained in it, because no one really seemed to have an issue with any of the other. The threshold hasn't changed for more than a decade, and so it's a reasonable new threshold, but the interesting thing will be adding that COLA in, which would be required. So we'll see how that goes. I imagine even after it's announced, there'll be some appeals and things like that. So this is the overview of that employment law benefits seminar that I went to. I thought it was extremely useful, and I actually talked to Clancy and Shelley about Shelley going to this next year with either myself or Michelle from HR. It's basically focused on what we need to expect in employment law for the upcoming year. And some of it is just, you know, people who work in this arena's best guess, you know, from tracking what they're doing. But they did have a really big focus on EEOC compliance and particularly harassment enforcement, they've actually added staff and funding and made this their theme of the year. So that'll be an interesting to see how that plays out. And then the other kind of overarching theme is that there has been a lot of pushback, and the Supreme Court has looked at it, and a couple circuit courts have looked at the ability for our governing boards, so like FLSA and the National Labor Relations Board, to be able to enforce the rules that they project. And there's some pushback on whether or not they have that ability to enforce. And so that will be interesting, because if they don't, who does? How do we do it? You know, what are the consequences? Because right now they really have free reign and they can administer pretty extensive fines if they find that you're not compliant, and they don't necessarily have, so like the Department of Labor doesn't necessarily, their investigators don't necessarily know our day-to-day operations or another industry's day-to-day operations, and so some of it has been questioned. So we'll see how that turns out. The Pregnant Workers Fairness Act has been released, and basically the only change here is that pregnant workers can actually be released from their essential duties. That can be seen as an accommodation as long as it's short term. In the past, we've not had to make an accommodation. Well, we could make an accommodation, but we weren't required to completely release someone from one of their primary duties on their job. This is a new aspect that hasn't been, it really hasn't been a protection in the past. So, you know, if my main job is speaking to upset employees and I'm pregnant and can't do that, there's potential that you would have to give me that accommodation. That's unusual. We'll see how that plays out. Usually it's more about an accommodation, not complete release.
And that's in all areas, right?
Yeah.
That are traditional.
Traditionally, all of the rules, we could make an accommodation, but you still had to be able to do the essential functions. This is a total separation from that, where we actually will say, okay, you no longer are responsible for one or more of your essential functions, as long as it's for a limited period of time.
I'm just curious, does it seem to be limited to that, or is it expanding beyond that?
Yeah, so I don't think I should, right now it's limited to that.
Okay. Based on the presentation.
Yeah, based on my interpretation from what they were saying is that there seems to be a swing towards employee-centric rules. So, however, they did say that we're in a really great circuit as far as employers go comparatively. So it'll go to the board and we'll see. There are new protections, and I've seen this actually in a couple cases from the DOL about employees complaining about their job and their supervisor. That is becoming a completely protected right. And so when you have someone who on social media, on text message, sitting at the water cooler is just flat out complaining about their job or supervisor, we can redirect, but that is a right that people have. Which has not been that way historically. SCOTUS is reviewing religious accommodation and accessibility, so we'll see how that comes out. And the 10th Circuit is reviewing age discrimination as well as the weightlifting requirements, which I think is applicable. We just had this conversation with the Parks Department. We always have a conversation with EMS. So this particular case that they're looking at did involve a female with a weightlifting requirement and whether or not she could be reassigned a different job. And so they may be looking at that differently. We'll see how that comes out. Dismissal review processes is also a review here in our area. And then the ADA interactive process. And really that's just coming down to being very specifically, you have to have an interactive process. You have to have a conversation specific to every circumstance, which we do, and that's okay. We want to make sure that we are looking at the actual circumstance and what we can do so the employee can do the job. Really great information about financial wellness programs. Some really good programs out there that lead to tenure and longevity, because obviously if I have, as an employee, have financial concerns, it makes me less stable as an employee. And so some good, interesting programs out there. And then there was a really great talk on benefits for recruitment and retention, particularly childcare as a benefit that will help you recruit and retain employees, which we have had that internal conversation here over and over again and looking for ideas, but I did get a couple of resources that were new to us. So our 2025 personnel budgets are drafted. Michelle and Brittany are reviewing them now, and they will be shared with department heads on the 11th. So that's Monday. Should be right on the schedule or right on our what we've done traditionally. Planning for the county councilor transition. So just want to keep that on our radar that that's going to be happening. scheduling interviews, and then to John's point earlier, you're not gonna transition?
We denied
No, I'm
it.
not.
We denied it.
Oh, okay, well, you didn't let me know, so to John's point earlier, the idea is to get in front of that, not behind it, so.
I was gonna say, the harassment policy, the harassment would go down when Clancy's gone. He's our primary target.
Shots fired.
Your primary victim is gonna be.
Your primary victim. I think you kind of dish it back.
Oh.
Once he does qualify for age discrimination.
Oh, I'm older than he is. I didn't.
I'm not getting in on this Zoom call that you're obviously gonna have to have after this meeting. I'm staying out of that one.
Yeah, I can see why. Excited that assistant county attorney position has been filled. Her start date is April 1st. So I just want to give a little plug for Riley County and our recruiting and retention. Barry and his team did a ton of work on this, but we ended up getting 5 applicants for this position. And with talking to my cohort, I mean, there are so many attorney positions open in different counties around the state. And we really were blessed to have some pretty qualified candidates. So that says something about wanting to work at Riley County, being an employer of choice, which we've been working on hard. This chart you guys saw last month and you had questions about. So this is our internal Riley County tenure. And you had asked, it'd be interesting to see what kind of comparison was. So that's this chart. So these are the people who got back to me. You know, there's only 4 right now, and it was just a really quick kind of straw poll. But you can see they don't even, we have what? We only go up to 10 years too, but see, we have these, see how many we have in this 10+ area compared to their 10+ area. So I think that's interesting and nice for us. Here's their 5 to 10 years. And so just an interesting kind of comparison. So follow up from last time. And we've talked about the personnel policy procedures. We did present the KAC Annual Years of Service Awards in February. And we actually did an insurance benefit review in February as well, which turned out different than we expected. So I've got that on this slide. I'll just jump to that right now. The Health Insurance Committee. So we have an advisory group of employees kind of across the strata who are interested particularly in health insurance. And they've been meeting for years. And the last time that we had a big conversation would have been 2 years ago. And the big concern was having the state plan, that there was a basic consensus that we wanted to look at different options for coverage, for price. There was an idea that the price was going up, that it was too expensive for employees. And so Michelle primarily has done a lot of work researching, looking at different brokers, looking at different costs. And what we found is that surprisingly, the employee premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket max have actually gone down with the state plan over a 5-year period. So consistently in the last 5 years. We have had some cost increase to us as the employer, but it's been consistent and it's been controlled because I know you're all probably tracking, but the state has a massive plan, right? We have so many more employees in that pool than Riley County could ever muster. And so they have a lot more weight. We as an individual employer don't get to have a lot of say in what the state does because they negotiate everything on our behalf. But what we found out is that lack of control is not harming us. That lack of control has actually been to our advantage. And then the other thing that's probably primary is that we have great medical coverage. So we actually have no complaints from our employees about the actual medical coverage. Obviously there's specialty services, there's sometimes this or that you either have to jump through a hoop or you have to pay a higher portion of, but that is not any different than in any other plan. We have some employees that are not excited that they have to do the wellness program in order to get a discount. And Michelle can tell you that is going to be consistent in every single plan. And it doesn't matter if you're with Blue Cross or Humana or whomever, they're going to want your population to be healthier. So they're going to put some restraints in place for you to do smoking cessation or weight control or movement or something so that, and the incentive they tie that is dollars. Our employees, if they meet the points requirement, get $40 off per month off their premium, which I mean, I remember starting here, I was just thought, oh my goodness, $40 a month is a huge discount. definitely, in my opinion, worth doing. And they make it pretty accessible. If you start at the beginning of the year and just pace it out, it's very accessible to do. So the consensus of this advisory group is actually not to go out and do bids, but to stay with our state plan. And to be honest, we can't see a reason why we wouldn't want to do that.
We were shocked, actually.
Yeah, I was honestly, and I told them that, I said, that's not, it's what I expected you all to say, but they really looked at the numbers and said, okay, that doesn't make sense for us to risk it elsewhere.
And so the commissioners know this committee's been in place for years, but it's got basically an employee from each department. And the majority are employees. The majority are not department heads. And so we asked them to be a representative for their department. And what are you hearing? That's what we asked. And what are your concerns? And we have some that have spouses with the city and comparatively spoke to that. They're self-insured. And even with a self-insured, I was going to point out, even with their self-insured plan, they have a system to where you have to gain points through a wellness program, because everyone hates it. Even I don't like the wellness point thing you have to go through, but every insurance has. That'd probably be the biggest complaint of our current plan, but all of them mandate that anymore. So I was surprised with the meeting.
So unless the commissioners have concerns, we at this point intend to, when our contract comes due again, to sign with the state and continue coverage. So we'll continue to talk about that as a benefit and keep an eye on it as well. In March, we hope to complete the employee manual, the procedures manual, and then something that didn't make my March highlight, but I thought you'd be interested in, is that we are going to go to the Blue Valley High School Career Day. It's on March 20th. And we're going to take with us someone from the health department and two people from EMS so that they can literally see what careers look like at Riley County. I think that's going to be a fun day for the employees, but also for the students to be able to start thinking about things that you can do at a county. I've told Rich since I started, I don't think people think about working for the government. It just doesn't, there's not a lot of us in the world. You hear a lot about private industries. And so I want to start people saying, hey, this is a great career opportunity. So we'll be up there, and North County is going to provide lunch. So I'm excited about that too.
That is good.
Yeah, pulled pork, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, any questions, anything that you'd like to see differently?
She took half of Mike's time. So
I
yeah,
know.
she did.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. I will.
It's hot in here.
It's not hot, it's cold. Take your coat off.
Yeah.
John.
You can go ahead. Yeah, started.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Mike Bowler with the staff update from Raleigh County Analysis Weed and Hazardous Waste Departments. We've got spring has sprung and we're starting to get this out of our shops. Crews had one call out last month for snow removal. Overall, we definitely had a busier winter than we have in the past for snow, but hopefully maybe we're done with that. I just feel like one more spring snow left. That's what my bones tell me, but I'm not certain of that. Spring maintenance on our roadside sprayers and rental sprayers has begun, and we'll be completing that this month. And we're also in the final stages of our maintenance on our mowing equipment and tractors. And with the moisture we've had this winter and the moisture we're having already in the spring, I think vegetation alongside the roadways is going to be a bumper crop here. So we're getting prepared for that. Spray season will start with bare ground applications in late March. We'll hit all of our road signs and our guardrails and all those areas on our county roads. And it says here we are waiting, but I have received our areas that the road and gravel crews have cleaned out some ditches all around through the county. And we come back through the spring and seed those areas. And so that will be our first big major operation in the spring, is getting the seeder out and start putting down some fescue. The cost share program, good news, and I shared this at the township meeting yesterday. The cost of chemical has gone down significantly. We're seeing a 33 to 40% decrease in some of the key chemicals that we use. So happy to see that movement in that area. That, of course, is going to be passed on to taxpayers of our community as they need cost share chemical. The prices will be greatly reduced compared to where they have been in the past. So I'm very happy about that. We are putting a limit of 1 full pallet of chemical per specific plant that you may be treating. And we've implemented that for the last year. Haven't got a lot of pushback from that, but we were having individuals maybe trying to push a little more and buying 2 or 3 pallets of chemical. And if you've got that many noxious weeds, I need to be seeing that and doing that. So I haven't got any big pushback from that yet. We've had that implemented for a year. I didn't have any problems with that last year, but just in case anybody would ask for what's a pallet and above, I need to do a weight inspection on that. The noxious weed department offers rental sprayers. This is something that not all counties do. And we did just replace one last year. I had a little money and so chose to buy a new rental sprayer. So we'll be trying that out this spring. It's a pretty nice unit that we got from Fairbanks. And feedback from that is tremendous. And the KDA does a management report, requires me to do a management report, which we'll discuss after this staff update. But that's one of the things that the Kansas Department of Ag really likes to see is people to have the ability to be able to rent the equipment to be able to treat noxious weeds. And so there are a handful of counties that do that, and I'm proud to say we are one of them. So we've got a sprayer. The township meeting yesterday, we offer contracts to do contract spraying for townships. On average, just so you know, we have about 6 to 9 being on the high side of townships that contract with us. Having said that, yesterday, I think that the ears perked up a little bit when I just talked about overall vegetation control in the ditch. I think that got some folks interested in our contracts because we have, of course, 14 of them we put out there, and usually 2 or 3 are taken that day. But yesterday, all but 3 were taken. This gives me an indication that we might see a higher level of contracts this year. What I had to say might have hit home a little. So that's a good thing. HHW, on the HHW side, we're going to be doing a Howie's clean out March 9th, this Saturday from 8 to noon. Again, no business waste is taken during that time, and we do limit it to 25 items per drop off. And of course, we don't count individual light bulbs or medication and that sort of things, major items. The Raleigh County facility out there this time of year, springtime, paint is crazy popular, and our phone rings multiple times a day asking about paint. We do have some right now, but it goes through, we push out, believe it or not, some weeks we can push out up to 600 gallons of recycled latex paint. So especially in the spring, it goes crazy. So it's that time of year. We did have our CWDA conference here in February in Manhattan. We had all of our commercial applicators, to include myself, earn credits. We have to get, of course, our training credits throughout a certain time period to stay accredited, or credited, I should say. And so we all have the opportunity to do that. And then Kansas Secretary of Ag was one of our featured speakers this year. So we were glad to have him there. I think that conference went really well. And the week prior to that, we had the CWDAK Basic School. That's something that I, along with Kansas Department of Ag, put on. We had 20 students this year and 3 new noxious weed directors across the state that were in attendance. And we also had Cali County help us and Fairbanks Equipment. We do a demonstration out of the Riley County shops of how we calibrate our equipment, that sort of thing. And so Cali County was there. That's a change that I've made to kind of represent some of the smaller counties. We at Riley County have maybe a little more fancier equipment. We've got Raven systems and GPS, that sort of thing. And some of the smaller counties don't have quite that budget. And so we invited Cali County along to kind of be more representative of the entire state, but you can still get the job done with, maybe a side-by-side or smaller pieces of equipment. So that was a great addition this year. And with that, that's my staff update. Do you have any questions for the commissioner? Okay, I do have just 2 quick action items. One is the annual report and then the management plan. The annual report is a report required by the Kansas Department of Agriculture. It dictates a lot of what our budget is, and we have a cost share program. And one of the things that it also covers is the amount of infestation in Riley County. I have already got some questions seeing this on the agenda of how we determine the amount of noxious weeds that are in Riley County. And I will share with you that the state assigns me 10 different sections of ground that I then go walk and inspect that ground. And then I measure the amounts of noxious weed that I may find in that section. And then we enter that into a mathematical formula that gives us an overall view of the health of our county, if you will, as in regards to infestation by noxious weeds. And so it is somewhat subjective. Clearly, if 10 different people did that survey, we'd probably come up with 10 different results, but I don't think it would vary too terribly greatly. And then I do have the opportunity to adjust those measurements, and I will use, as I receive complaints on infestations of noxious weeds, I will take that into consideration and document that on my annual report. That gives me an idea of where we are. Of course, noxious weeds are an ebbs and flow. We have peaks and we have valleys. But that annual report is available for your review. It does require signatures of commissioners. And I would recommend the approval of that annual report.
I would make a motion to approve the annual management plans.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the annual management plan. All in favor?
Aye.
All three, please sign.
Also move to approve the annual report.
I would second that.
Been moved and approved to also approve the annual noxious weed report. Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Michael. All three sign, please. Next is Ann Burson, Commissioners. Yes.
Say this one. Okay.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Anna Burson with Riley County Appraiser's Office here with the monthly staff update. It does look a little different this year, trying to provide you more information this time of year. So with our personal property and our agricultural use, we are processing those personal property renditions as they are returned. We're updating the 2024 values on personal property. As a reminder, those renditions need to be signed and returned to the appraiser's office prior to the March 15th deadline to avoid penalties. And that deadline is fast approaching. We have received just over 50% back so far. This is pretty typical. Sometimes we just don't get a lot returned. So unfortunately, there's penalties assessed when that happens. The 2024 notice of value for personal property will be mailed by May 1st. Additionally, ag use properties, as a reminder, those maps will be going out to all property owners mid-May. And so anybody that has agricultural property, just be prepared. Those ag use maps will be going out. On commercial and residential appraisers are reviewing sales, scheduling appeals as we're receiving them. For 2024, there have been 86 sales reported to date. Of these sales, 74 involve residential properties. We have 2,122 parcels due for their annual review this year, and we hope to begin that process soon. We currently have 33 new building permits for 24, and our ratio, considering the sales have not yet been validated, is sitting roughly at 97%. On the commercial side, they're preparing for BOTAs, scheduling appeals, reviewing sales, and they have also begun their annual review. 2024 value notices went out Friday. February 23rd for all real property in Riley County. Property owners do have until March 25th to request evaluation appeal. As a reminder, if you're considering an appeal, needing information, or have questions related to the appeal, please contact our appeal line. That number again, 785-537-6316. It's important to just call that line. I went ahead and included the BOTA spreadsheet updated. As you can see, much of what's outstanding is scheduled. It's going to be busy. The list has definitely dwindled, so we're excited to see some of those old cases being wrapped up. The line through the Mercy Regional, those have been dismissed. So those will fall off. That happened after I was preparing this update. Additionally, Home Depot's decision is now, it's officially pending. All the briefs had to be filed to the Board of Tax Appeals on March 1st, and that was completed. And so we are hopeful to have a decision in the near future on Home Depot. This chart here, I'm going to blow this up a little bit bigger, hopefully help you see it a little better. So Riley County valuation summary for 2024. First of all, this chart represents the percentage of Riley County's total valuation by property class. Additionally, it's important to recognize that this chart does include new construction. So these percentages are going to be different because it includes all new construction. But what's really important to kind of notice is this is the total appraised value of property in Riley County when we noticed for March 1st. So $9,991,396,910 total valuation. Our total parcel counts right around that 24,816. The total valuation increase for 24 is about 3%. Now, on this chart, what really kind of sticks out is you have 40% of that appraised value is exempt. So of that $9 billion, we have $4,017,554,130 of appraised value that is completely tax exempt. 48% of that total value is residential, 8% of that value is commercial. You can see residential overall about 5% increase over the prior year, commercial 7%, again, new construction. This will also involve any property that may be changed from exempt to commercial or vice versa. Just like down at the bottom, that not-for-profit, you can see there's about 13,442,000 in not-for-profit. Vacant land overall saw a decrease of about 3%. Ag land overall is a decrease of about 7%. And the farm home sites increased roughly about 13% this year. And so this kind of leads into this next chart. So you can see here 40% of the total valuation is exempt. This is breaking down the 2024 assessed valuation summary. And you can see 69% of the assessed value in Riley County. That's where your taxes are going to come from. The mill levy times that. Obviously, after you less out any revenues, really this is where the taxes go to. 69% of the residential valuation carries that burden of the tax. 24% of that assessed value is the commercial. And then you have your 3% farm side, ag land's around 3%, and your vacant land's 1%. That other little sliver on there is just, it's not for profit. Again, very minimal, it's not even a percent. So it does round up on here. But it's just really important just to recognize, residential carries a very large portion of that tax burden, which is why residential property owners definitely have some of the biggest frustrations with property value. It's not usually property value. It always comes down to my taxes are too high, my taxes are too high. Some of them have high specials as well. And so I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware and put a little visual out there for you to see what this genuinely looks like. For Riley County 2024 valuation summary, this just shows how many residential parcels, farm parcels, ag parcels. Again, this is going to include any new. Additionally, if we have something that goes off of the exemption, it's going to reflect maybe in that commercial or the residential side, or goes to that not-for-profit. It's a little bit more visible on this next chart. When we look at the 2023 versus the 2024 appraised value change, you can see that not-for-profit climbed quite a bit. That also just is potentially reflecting some exemption applications that are pending. We have not yet received, but even with those that went from exempt to taxable in 24, you can still see exemptions climb. It's only at about a 1% climb over the prior year. So again, ag is showing over here, farm sites, the residential is also on this chart. Okay, over here on the left, sorry. I can't see quite that far away from here. Additionally, the Riley County average sale price. One thing really let me go back to that other chart real quick here. A couple just quick notes that I have. 75% of the residential property values in Riley County are going up 7% or less. 75% of the farm sites are going up 13% or less. 75% of commercial valuations going up 5% or less. 50% of the vacant lot valuation is seeing no change in value or a decrease, but 25% of them are potentially going up 21% or more. Now, the thing to know about that 21% is if you have a property that was a $280 value, a $500 value is well over doubling. And so that is reflected when you look at that percent change. So certainly if you have questions about that, I'm always available for that. 90% of the ag parcels, those are parcels that are just exclusively ag, no home sites, are seeing a decrease in value or no change. And so I think that's just important to know what's going on with the values. So Riley County average sale price by tax year. This kind of shows just a little bit different picture too, because you can just see the trend from 1986 all the way to 2023. And so what's interesting about this is when you really look at it, I mean, if you look at 86 to now, I think that I calculated out, it's roughly 323% change, value increase from the 80s. Now, if you just go back to 2003, it's over 105%. But what's interesting is, you really can't divide that out by year. Because if you do it, it makes it look like if we looked at the last 20 years, it's 5% per year. But when you look at that chart and you look at 2005 to 2016, we sat pretty stagnant. It was about a 2% per year when you really look at that change. And so that's kind of that problem when you try to do those long-term trends is, if we're not taking them up, if we were to take the values up from the 1980s to now, values would have had to go 8.5% up every year. And we know that hasn't happened. That's just not realistic. You can see where you have some higher peaks and some lull in there. So it just kind of paints another picture. The average sale price by tax year for $265,293 for 2023. And so I just think it's important just to kind of see that. The values for 2024 compared to other counties across the state. I've talked to several other jurisdictions who've shared their value change. And I can tell you that ours is well in line with what everyone else is seeing. I mean, I've talked to Sedgwick County, Johnson County, Saline, Franklin, Lyons, Butler, Cowley, Barton. And we all have very similar as far as what we're seeing in valuation change for 2024. I think one county is going up less, but overall the rest of them are right around where we're at. So, certainly I'm open to any questions you may have. I just think it's important to see visually. So I tried to put some visuals together. I do have plans. I'm working with Lori and Rich to come to you guys with a bigger presentation on exempt property in Riley County, just so you have a full picture. But when it comes to the 24 valuation, I mean, I think it's important to see it kind of as I just showed you. Do you have any specific questions for me at this time?
Does that include all of Ford?
So what's interesting about that is yes, okay, but
Well,
here's
kinda.
Here's the problem, and this is one of the pieces that you'll kind of see, is the actual value on the Ford that we have is not what the Ford is worth. I mean, there's a lot of buildings and structures on
There's
the
a lot of
Ford
buildings
that
and houses
we
that
have.
are in Riley County.
That's exactly correct.
All the Custer Hill area is all in
That is
Riley County.
That is correct.
But we can't,
The
but you
value.
can't do anything.
Yeah.
You can't.
We have some building values specifically relating to mortgages, relating to that subdivision I believe you're talking about. But it is not in any way, shape, or form close to capturing what the value on that Ford
Because I
is.
thought the value of that would be,
It's-
that would be.
And I can say that I do believe the K-State value we have is also very low.
Mhm.
So considering we're missing all of that valuation, I genuinely think that it's even higher. But this is just a small you know.
That way,
bird's
you
eye.
can't go in and inspect the houses and stuff at the fort.
In the fort now.
Yeah.
I know
So
years
you just had to
ago,
make a guess, saying, well, there's some buildings up here and try to get.
years ago, there was a push to try to gather information that was pretty much shut down by the United States government. So there's just, it just is what it is. We can't get the information and we have what we have and that's really it. So, yeah.
Of the land mass, about 80% of the fort is in Riley County.
Yeah.
We have some visuals prepared that will.
Yeah, we got more in-depth presentation
Oh,
from
okay.
commissioners coming up.
Yeah, I know at one time, the housing they were talking about. When I was working for one, that they talked about, oh, that they were gonna start, since it's private owners
Yeah,
now, they were gonna start paying taxes, and I thought, yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
And
There was push years ago and it was, that was the attempt. And it very quickly was shut down by the government. So it's a no-go. There's nothing we can do. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
commissioners, time for Brittany.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer. Here to present the 2025 budget calendar and to establish the baseline to direct department heads on. So I provided in the packet the past several years of what the baseline has been. You can see in the past couple of years, it is specifically been on the tax sentiment of the public. And so just trying to be aware of the current economic conditions. And so we're here to ask what you are looking for 2025, and then also for approval of the calendar.
I don't have any issues with calendar. Was I ready to go back to doing hearings in May instead of June? We did them last year in June, I think timeframe in June.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I will say on May 13th, currently the county officials luncheon is scheduled, but since that's supposed to be quarterly, I assume that's going to be moved back to June. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then on May 16th, you do have the joint city county meeting at Manhattan, the city offices. And so we would just plan to wrap those up early that day, so you have time.
What day? Sorry.
Sorry, May 16th.
That's usually at 4.
Yeah,
It's usually not till 4.
Mhm.
hopefully we're not here that late.
Yeah, probably not, but
I have some thoughts on those appropriation requests, but we don't have to talk about that today.
Sure.
Okay. I'm okay with the calendar, then that's fine. Seems to be. And there, can you scroll down just a little bit?
absolutely. I originally had August 29th on there for the budget hearing, but that is when you guys are scheduled, I believe, to be in Leonardville that evening. So we move that to the next meeting.
Well, we could discuss it in Leonardville. It's strange, people were there.
Well. Actually, it's an evening hearing, you probably would get more people to show up to a hearing, maybe it was, that's what people sometimes complain about, I don't know if they'll drive all the way to Leonardville.
That's what, where the shot drive here.
I don't think it's gonna matter either way, to be honest with you. No, that's fine.
What?
Just leave it as it is.
Commission have any direction on the baseline to give to department heads and outside appropriations?
My thought on outside appropriations this year is kind of this. I'm not saying this is how we go with it every year, but with everything that's going on federally, I'm under the interpretation that they're going to just continue to move on with continuing resolutions and everything else to keep things funded throughout 2024, because it's an election year and everything's at play. And a lot of those nonprofits and stuff that we fund, you know, they use federal funds, they use grants, they use all those things that are funded through those means. It's going to be very difficult for them this year. I don't think we should string everybody out this year through that. I think we should be pretty much upfront. I say if you're not on our list this year, there's no reason to be on the list. There's no reason to give a hearing. I mean, what we're gonna do is this. It's the same thing we've done 5 years prior I've been here. Our budget's gonna be outward. We're gonna come back to a point. That's the first thing we're gonna go to. Should give them an honest approach up front so they're not strung out all spring and all summer. And just say, if you're not on the list this year, we're not probably going to fund you. Might be better for you to look through other means because it's gonna be very, very difficult to get to the end of the year for a lot of those groups and organizations. I'm not saying we do that every year. I'm just saying we do that this year because of those circumstances. And the groups and organizations that we fund probably aren't going to probably get much of an increase this year. So just be aware of that up front instead of.
I don't know. I think we need to hear them out and hear what they want. And because it's a service to the community too, to hear what the agencies are needing.
Yeah. And like I say, because they may be, I don't know, I'm not saying they're going to, but they're going to need more needs because that's bringing everybody out.
What typically happens as you get into July, August, and September is they're having to pay things forward out of their budget without knowing what they have for an actual budget, including federal funds. So if they know what they have up front, they can either shoot with what they already have or try to look for something else.
Well, if you want, we could have it finalized on just the appropriations earlier instead of waiting till the very end.
Yeah, and we could, that would work. And then we could reallocate some of those funds. Some of the budgets or some of the agencies may not need as much this year as some of the other. I don't know.
Good luck with that.
I think it's good to reevaluate them though.
Well, I will say this, I've talked to several of the organizations that we do fund, and I asked that question to them, would it be better just be honest and upfront with them about where we stand? One of them said yes, one of them said no. I talked to 3 that typically come in and ask for funding that we never fund, and I asked them, would it be better if we just told you up front, yes or no? And all 3 of them actually said, yes, it would be better if you just told us yes or no. And they both all said, yes, we'd rather you just tell us up front. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Even doing it earlier would probably be better for them.
Like I say, if you're saying that
Do it earlier.
they don't want to be strung out, we can approve that part of the budget or before we approve the others.
And I can move that up if that's what you guys would like, because I have it set, like I have appropriation letters ready to be mailed out, currently. So if we wanted to move that April 22nd date of when their requests are due up, and then maybe have hearings after that for them to come and discuss with you, we can do that instead of waiting till May.
Well, the challenge is going to be this, is we're not really going to know anything on our actual budget baselines until June, because we won't know the value of the mill and what our revenue neutral rates are going to be. So we're not going to actually know what we're going to have for a dollar amount to fund really anything at this point in time until then.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do before that June, whatever date, really doesn't matter in terms of just dollars and cents. Am I right?
I would say my only concern is when the commissioners make their final cuts on the budget to get it where you all agree on where you want it isn't done until the end. And at that point, every time I've seen the commission look at everything as far as further cuts or if there is additional revenue. And so you could make it early, but then you may decide to cut everyone, including outside appropriations, even more at that time would be my only fear, because you don't know the revenue picture until June. And you don't know all of the other requests until later. I know it's difficult.
Well, that's why I talked about last year that we need to set some kind of a limit appropriation.
The total limit you talked about.
You know, either a total dollar value or a certain percent that this is all we're gonna do. That
Mhm.
instead of.
And allocate it accordingly.
And then, you know, take that money and split it up, but. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't have a value in mind, but it's something I think we need to look at maybe to. So, because like you said, we're just gonna get more requests all the time.
Yeah, I mean, last year, I think we had, what, 3 or 4 new ones?
A few new ones.
And in my time here, and you can take of this
Yeah.
as you want, we haven't funded anybody new.
I mean, that direction, I mean, you could make that decision,
I-
but as far as the individual appropriations too early of those that you already fund, I would be cautious of.
I'm not saying what I'm suggesting, I'm not saying we do this every year, I'm just saying, considering everything that's coming both from the federal level and the state level this year, it's just something to think about, because then they gotta, on the fly, July, August, gotta re-examine where they're at, and that's gonna be very, very tough for them. Because a lot of them are actually paying out of their budget with the hopes that they're gonna get those federal dollars or other grants that come typically, and they may not come this year. So being upfront and honest with that allows them early to try to plan a little bit more ahead with that, and that was just a thought, so.
Control the feds, that's for sure.
Well, they can't control themselves either, that's what we don't need
We
to
just have to
know.
know that here.
And now they're passing continuing resolutions to fund things for 2-3 weeks at a time.
I know, it's ridiculous.
I'm just, anyway. Can you imagine the stress that would cause if we tried to run our budget? Yeah. On a 2 to 3 week basis?
I'd like to think.
Retirees.
I am too.
I'd like to think about this and talk to a few people.
Do we need to decide today?
No, we can bring it back on Monday. Does Monday give you enough time?
Yeah.
So we can kind of get things lined out? Just bring it back Monday, if you would, please.
Yes.
Shouldn't take much time.
We had one more additional question, as we were putting together the calendar and asking if the commissioners would be willing to entertain new and expanded positions this year.
Well, this isn't gonna surprise anybody here, but no. No.
Probably not, but. We said that,
I'm
we said
gonna-
that last year, but we did.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna tell you, and we looked at a couple of things and very specific for where our needs were at that particular point in time, and I don't think that's gonna be the case this year. And the other positions I know that are gonna come up are the ones that we didn't actually do
Right.
last year. I'm more in line as we kind of gear into strategic planning, which is something I hope we can still get done this year. And as personnel is one of those bullet points that we develop a more in-depth and strategic plan on how we do just that, instead of just having them come up with a plan, come up with come up with a personnel position and saying what we want or we need. I mean, as a county, we need to develop some criteria, some variables that fit across the board for that we all can live with. And when those positions come up, they check off 3 to 5 of those or 2 to 4 of those, and then they come to us and then we evaluate it from there. So there's a little bit more depth in there and we understand what that rationale and thought is, other than just I need or I want. That's kind of how I think it is sometimes.
Well,
So I just,
last year, we got requests that were, very needful. I mean, very, very thought out by the department. head,
and very
what they
expensive
needed.
still.
Yeah, and, some of them were funded and some of them weren't. I think we should leave that up to the department heads to tell us what they,
I don't
where
think
they're at.
they don't say, oh, let's add 10 people just because they think it'd be fun. I think they have reasons. Like I said, last year you said absolutely we're not gonna do anymore.
I'm telling you, this year, I'm not doing, I'm
You said
gonna
it
say
last year
no.
when
all of
we
it.
added, but then you voted to add position.
Yeah,
So
well, I'm telling you, this year it's not
mine's
happening.
changed. Mine's changed.
Well, it's not going to this year, I can guarantee you that.
And to be clear, we're not asking you to approve them, we're just
No.
asking whether you want to hear the presentation from the department heads this year.
Don't we always anyway? I mean, I'm gonna tell you up front where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be 100% absolutely no, but I'm 1 out of 3, so.
I don't think there are any absolutes in life
Okay.
anymore, but.
You might be surprised this year.
Death and
In fact,
taxes.
Well, that,
Well, birth, taxes and death in that order.
that is,
Yeah, not necessarily.
First not absolute.
okay, this is getting too philosophical.
So the board, the majority of the board is open to presentations
Yeah.
and then you'll make your decision based on the presentation.
We had said that as a, what date do you remember? Was it the 20th?
Yes, we're looking at May 20th or May 24th to come and discuss.
Just for your reference, it's not on the calendar, but
Okay, you said Monday, bring the calendar back. I'm actually not sure that there's time on Monday, but I will get with Cindy and maybe we can maybe bring it back
Look
on
at
the
that.
14th.
As I said, and not all of us are gonna be here on Monday.
Oh, that's true. So be sure all three commissioners are a good point. I'm glad you pointed that out. Commissioner McKinnon will not be here, so we need all three of them here for that.
Okay.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Next commissioners, it is Amanda's time. I believe Commissioner Folke would like a minute or two break.
I need to walk around a little.
And he did kick on though.
Yeah. I've been warm all morning in here.
I shed my coat.
Felt the heat's come rolling through a little bit ago. You got any rain yet? No.
How you ladies doing? Good. Were you listening from there? Fall again. It's possible. Stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Body is so done.
Yeah.
Sure.
and I heard this is. I'm sorry if I choose to be a thing and this one is
That's what, that was one of the, that 40% I thought we couldn't be counting. That 40% can't be counted.
Yeah, the thing is, if we had the true value of K-State and true value of everything in Fort Valley, we're probably over 50%.
Oh, sure. Is, like I say, when I was working over there, it was just some kind of, what was some, we had difference in what was in Gary County, what was in Riley County, that we had to do some difference. But there was a lot of new houses built up there, and a lot of good, all that stuff on Chester Hill, all those things are Riley County and the housing up there, it's.
Yep. Ready for Amanda, Commissioner? Go ahead.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director here with Planning and Development's monthly report for February. And as usual, we'll kick it off with Keats, just a couple notes to share. So as you folks know, we are working through the environmental assessment that USDA requires for their rural development application. I checked in with Philip this morning. What we do know so far is that a phase 2 study is required to be performed by an archaeologist. What we're trying to confirm, and USDA is kind of working with us on our behalf to confirm with the state, do we need a full-blown cultural resources survey? Apparently that's a little bit more in depth than just the phase 2. So that's what they're working to confirm. And of course, we need that information because a phase two, again, it's a cultural survey, but it's not as in-depth as a full-blown cultural resources survey. So we need to know, is the phase two going to be sufficient for all agencies concerned, or do we need the full thing? So we of course need to know that information before we could get a consultant on board to perform that service, because there are some differences there. So hopefully, again, I checked in with JDS this morning, and I'm working to confirm with USDA on that. So hopefully we should know in the next couple of days what we'll need to do. I have been in communication with Barry Pass, the consultant who did the cultural survey for the City Manhattan connection, so they're aware of what we have going on. It should be south of the 20,000 numbers, so we shouldn't have to do an RFP, so we can save a little bit of time there, which is good. But we just need to wait for that full confirmation about which cultural path we need to go down, basically. So we should know that here soon and we can get that going once we have that finalized information. And then any other comments that maybe we might receive from any of the state agencies, we'll get that information. But really it was the cultural that we needed to know which report will be sufficient for all agencies. So we'll keep you posted on that. So in addition to that, the geotechnical evaluation, the on-site geotechnical for the soil review was done last Friday by Terracon. They got in and out, they're done. And so they're working on that information. We should have a report to the feasibility of the ground essentially by the end of March. So we'll have that information as well. We'll be able to share and make sure that the ground is going to work for us. So yeah, sure hope so, but we should have that information. And we're still waiting for that call from the Kansas Water Office saying awarding the
Here's your money.
Here's your money, here's your big bag of money. So again, hoping we'll hear by April, if not sooner, about whatever the awards will be, that information for both the technical assistance grant and the infrastructure grant, both of them through the Kansas Water Office that we're waiting for. So really kind of a lot of information we'll be getting in these next couple of months. We'll be getting information about the geotechnical assessment, we'll be getting funding information, both from Kansas Water Office and USDA will be in the June area once we're able to get our environmental assessment information submitted. So these next few months we'll be getting lots of different information for that project. So hopefully all positive information, but a lot of things kind of happen. Right
I'm hopeful in that grant. If they don't, they're gonna hear from us,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm hopeful.
yeah, we're hopeful that we'll get something, some percentage of something, so. And as always, we're always looking at other potential funding opportunities, seeing what might be out there.
I struggled to get much of any information at all out of USDA when I was in DC. It was just kind of So I was kind of disappointed, to be honest with you.
The best shot for large amounts through the water in Kansas,
Right,
so.
absolutely.
Are there any more pots of money coming into the
So
water?
we do need to do the KDHE, the SRF funding, but that's a loan.
Okay.
Obviously anything is helpful. That would be a loan program that we'll work on. That's kind of fitting in. We needed to get some other information about the grant funding that we may or may not receive in order to do the KDHE. So that's a loan program we still have the opportunity for. I've not heard, we still meet with Jen with Widow Bryant every week or every other week.
Every week.
And so far we haven't heard of anything else yet right now, but that doesn't mean things aren't kind of wood, coming down the pike at some point this year or whatnot. So.
Remember this grant funding opportunity and where Kansas Water Resources right now is a unicorn. They've had these fundings available before, but not at this level for one project. And so it's really a unicorn on the amount of money potentially for one project. So
And they talked about hopefully doing it again over the subsequent years, but of course it's a question mark if that would happen, what the amount would even be. So really that we were able to get in this round, because we know it's there this round. It would be great if we could get something through that office. So definitely keep you posted as soon as I hear anything, I'll be shouting it from the rooftops. From the rooftops, so.
We're gonna hold you to that.
I want to hear you shouting because I don't think I've ever heard
Yeah, I
that.
don't
Yeah,
think-
I don't think I've ever heard
No,
that.
don't ask my
So
husband.
I'm really. I think I will.
I don't tend to raise my voice.
I think that my contact in the governor's office was saying they were going to try to push through more money. This next session, or this session, maybe they haven't this session.
That's what I'm hearing from the water committee too, that they're trying to get
It's more.
no pun intended, a larger pool of money available. So, bad joke there, sorry. But then that's not just for this year, that's,
For continuing.
it's supposed to be for like, a 3 to 5 year vision for that. So,
Yeah.
it'll be shorter each year, but it's with, a longer term. And let's be honest, it's going to take more than a year to get done anyway. So you could, fund it for 1 year, get some more funds for the next year. So you could do it over multiple years. So I'm kind of watching to see how that goes. And I think that committee work's done for this year. So they've already put forth those totals for the budget. It's just a matter if it's going to be there or not at the end of the game here. So. And we won't know that till,
Well, there's a lot of competition.
won't know that till about the end of April. So around that time. So.
I think when they see the amount of requests they get,
No, yeah, there are a significant amount. We know that.
throughout the state.
We heard that from
Yeah,
Jen.
they'll see what they have available. Not surprising, because it is such a good thing. So we will just kind of wait and see. That's a little bit where we are with some of that, and just keep the lookout, if we can find anything else to apply for as well. So. Another interesting note is the residents have started their own community webpage kind of for Keats information. And a lot of what's on there is information we provided to them, the email updates, the handouts, things like that. They've really been trying to kind of have that central location, there's a couple of people kind of on their self-designated committee, that kind of acts like the liaison, if you will, they'll come talk to me, or I know Catherine's had some conversations with folks, just getting that information, making sure, the intent, of course, as with ours, is making sure that the information that the residents have is correct, is full and correct. So they have a lot of information on their webpage, and they're really doing a good job of keeping in touch with us to make sure, hey, we heard this, what's about that. And we did send a clarification email just this morning about the property, the option agreement for the property, just clarifying some basic details, because folks are under the assumption that we fully purchased the property. So we just wanted to make sure that there was that clarification out there for folks that, kind of what the process actually is. So.
I've heard it twice in the last week, and it wasn't people from Keats. It seems like you got Keats things all sweet already. You're gonna start looking good. No,
Quite.
not even.
With what money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So one of us, they want to write a check, we can get right started.
Ooh, now there is a new approach.
there's a,
But it wasn't the residents, it was other people that kind of halfway know what's going on.
well, I think it's good that the couple of residents have taken it upon themselves to really get the right
keep the right
information
information
out
out there.
there.
Yeah.
And it's not like every neighbor has a different story, so it's,
It's not just
hopefully it'll
us
help
up there
that.
trying to tell them, I think it really helps coming from their neighbors.
Yeah.
Competitors.
They've done a good job on that website. I think that
Yeah.
it's got a good start.
A lot of good information on there, so, so glad they've been. So, anything else with Keats? Okay. Comp plan update, not a whole lot more than the report I gave you a couple weeks ago. The newsletter is out. We've mailed it out to folks. It's gonna get to the Riley County next week. John was very receptive to that, so we appreciate that a whole lot. Still just meetings, with the committee, working on language. I have talked to a couple, and I have appointments to talk to other consultants about potential assistance and what those costs would be. Compile that information and bring that back to you folks probably at the end of the month, is my guess, just to give that a little bit of time to talk to as many folks as I can and get all that background information, so we can have a good discussion on that and how we can move forward with hopefully get some professional
services to help us with that. So that would be definitely beneficial. So. It's just a short one there, question about the crop plan. Let's see, just see a few highlights, because I have pictures on the stuff. So I think we've talked about, we're working on some land development regulation amendments, LDR amendments. That's one of those things where LDR is a living document. It will never be complete, and that's not a Riley County specific thing. That's everywhere. Those documents are always needing to be changed, clarified, amended, corrected, things like that. So you'll see a lot of that this year. We were, of course, having our conversations with planning boards right now. So in a few months, we'll have the conversation with you folks as well, so you can be aware of what we're looking at. Make sure you're comfortable. Let's see, solid waste management plan. We've been working on the required update for that. That's due mid-May 24. So the groups have been meeting and working through their language. We reconvene the full committee at the end of February to have an update, and then we'll get back together again at the end of March. NG 911 committee, we haven't been too active lately, but we did meet again in the beginning of February because we do need to get back to our list to get back to some road names. So EMS and 911 is reviewing the current list to determine what our next priority should be. The last time we kind of prioritized this, it's been a little bit. Now, of course, all of them are important to address, but we want to make sure we're hitting the ones that, maybe 911 is gonna know we've had issues with locating this address before. We might want to test that off the top of the list. So working on that. And then just one more, because again, I know I'm out of time. Next Monday evening is Riley County Planning Board. We have requests for a replat in University Park area. Just as a note, we do expect a large crowd for that one. It will be before you folks March 21, March 21, and we will also expect a large crowd there. So just wanted to give you that kind of heads up on that to expect that. So I'll just end there, but any questions I can answer? Thank you very much.
Executive session time.
Yep, your motion.
How well, when do you want to come back?
Don't need the full time, 15 minutes, 30. Yeah,
10:30. I move the county commission, including chairman of the board, vice chair McKinley, and Commissioner Folke, recess into executive session on potential litigation for the purpose of consultation with Shelley Woodard, deputy county councilor, and Clancy Holman, county councilor, attorneys for the commission, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, an exception to the Kansas Open Meeting Act, the open meeting to resume in the commission chamber at 10:30 a.m.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the county commission move into executive session for the purposes of potential litigation. All in favor until 10:30. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Are back.
There was some action, yes.
I move the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded that board come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move the record reflect actions we take consistent with the consensus reached in executive session.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded that action reflect, action consistent taken with consensus reached in executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Next commissioner, time for Ron Fear.
Probably shouldn't have sat down, Ron.
So, going through Clancy's. Oh, we do, okay.
Yeah, there won't be anything there.
You didn't have it.
Yeah, sorry.
Gotta go.
So we want to hear more about cooking class and
Change my.
Fun.
Italian food.
Up a sweat, huh?
All right,
Oh,
well,
you don't.
Oh, yes.
Love it. Pain though.
Okay.
Just from the painting I meant, yeah.
I'll get with you.
We're not cookies.
Thanks. Go ahead, Ron.
And thank you for, it's great to be back with you. Again, this is unfortunately my last scheduled presentation to you. So I'm sure we'll run across each other before I wrap it up on April 18th.
Are you counting down the days officially? Mark
Well, you know,
on the calendar.
Mentioned that my daughter's going to school in Florence, Italy, and she's on year 2 of a 3-year specialty degree program there in interior design. And my original plan was to have a big family trip and float the Middle Fork of the Salmon River this summer, but she can't come home this summer. And so we just decided to take the family and go to her. And so we did that for about 10 days. Renee's still over there. Because she's already retired.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not gonna go to Italy just for 10 days. I'm gonna stay another 10 days. I said, okay. And so, but it was, we did a cooking class, family cooking class with a gal that lives in the hills above Florence. And it was with another 2 couples from Detroit, and got to meet some new friends and spend about 3.5 hours, learn how to make a lot of stuff from scratch.
Nice.
Then we got to eat it. So it was great.
Nice.
So definitely gets me in the mood for
It's nice to see you come home and hit the scale.
Yeah. Definitely. But thanks for having me. Wanted to update you on a few things. Appreciated the dialogue we had at the city county meeting on the RHID. I think that's something certainly that'll be coming back to you all as we are looking forward to as we get applications, and obviously the commission's still formulating their policy, but the focus has been on trying to focus on workforce housing and the types of housing that aren't represented in the community and the price levels that go along with it. So more to come on that particular item, but somewhat related to that, the city commission had a discussion item this past Tuesday looking at updating our industrial revenue bond policies. Something that we haven't used in the industrial revenue bond statutes is there is a provision to allow for a property tax abatement on rental housing. So we've never used it. We have used the IRBs to do a sales tax exemption for materials and equipment for a project, but we haven't done it for any type of abatement on residential properties, period. And this specifically has to be for rental. So the commission, again, we just broached that as an idea of something that already existed in statutes. And they certainly want to know more about what that would be. Again, they would want to focus that on only providing it to targeted areas that it would be productive and meet some of the components we're missing in certain price standards. So
I wasn't able to attend or watch Tuesday's meeting, but and this question might have been asked, so is that only for new construction?
no, it wouldn't have to be just for new construction. It could be for renovation. Obviously, there's a lot of questions, and depending on how complex that gets, a lot to manage, but that would be something that at least we could look at, but that we wouldn't necessarily have a lot of other steps involved in that process. But I think certainly as we get closer to crafting that policy, having that interaction with you all in the school district who obviously could be impacted by it. I think it's gonna have to, I think it would probably be more appropriate for new property that's being constructed. But it could fit, similar to maybe instead of going through a neighborhood revitalization program where you're, if you're wanting to target something around the schools to have more of those rent houses that are old and run down, replaced with family rental type thing, that could be an option as well. So again, just starting that discussion, but got some feedback from the commission. So if you certainly want to pull that up and review it, you can, but no firm decision made, but they said, yeah, let's keep looking at it and keep talking about it.
Well, Ron, that would only be if somebody wanted to rent it, build a property and rent it. What about the people that want to buy and they can't find affordable homes to buy? What
Right,
about
and
that part?
That's really where that RHID is targeted.
That's where it's targeted
Yeah.
there. I thought that was only like for rental properties and developers that wanted to rent or lease property.
So I think the RHID can do both,
Okay,
but the IRB statutes only provide for rent.
for rentals, okay.
So more to come on that one. Also wanted to let you know that on the 19th of March at that meeting, so week and a half away, K-State President Richard Linton is scheduled to come to the commission and give us, we've had this, the K-State president every now and then kind of give us an update as we've talked about the North Campus corridor, the Edge District, and just some of the plans with the office park and research park and some of the components on campus. So they've developed a K-State master plan for the campus. That I know that's part of what he's going to present. They also are working on strategic planning and different aspects. So as opposed to just being in the office park aspect, it's going to, for the North Campus corridor, where he's going to give us a general update on the university and some of their plans moving forward. So that might be something that you'd be interested in.
Just for the record, we did get an update on what they're doing in the Edge District yesterday.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
extensive.
Yeah, good deal. Also, at next week's work session, the commission is going to get a project update. We've got a proposed $17 million improvements to our wastewater treatment plant. So you do these about every 8 to 10 years where you got to make significant improvements. And so it's been about that long, and we've got several identified. We've already hired a construction manager at risk team, and we're getting ready to enter final design for that construction to happen in 2025. But obviously, both our water and our wastewater plants are regional facilities. And you can really track, especially our water footprint through the rural water districts throughout Riley County significantly. So that might be of interest as well. The other things I wanted to just point out were the Riley County EMS facility rezonings on the planning board agenda for the March 14th, and then scheduled for the first reading of the rezoning on April 2nd. So again, I think we've come up with a new zoning designation, which kind of takes the place of the municipal facilities process. And so we're going to do our pump station that we have near there too, the health department as part of that as well. There are several work sessions coming up in March and April. On March 26th, the Seco Park improvement update on some of the latest schematic plans. I think you all got an update fairly early. We also have had a traffic master plan done, and that'll be presented to the commission. This is just really focusing a lot on our major networks and all of our signalized intersections and the age of our systems and how we should work together and modifications. So it's a pretty significant document.
I've got a lot of thoughts on that, but
I'm sure you do.
I'll keep it to myself.
Anyway, it's a fairly thick document. It's not out there yet, but that might be one that you could be interested in. It's just a work session for them to hear that update. And certainly will influence what we programmed in our capital improvement program and grant program going forward. Then similarly, on April 9th, we'll have an update by our street department, some of the maintenance we're targeting for this year and next year. And then also on our stormwater and floodplain management will be on that agenda. And then Visit Manhattan will have their first school movie update. And then on April 23rd, the Move MHK Comprehensive Parks and Rec Master Plan will have an update to the commission. So a lot of things that you may or may not be interested in, but I wanted to make you aware of those. And then just some project updates. Obviously, we're still working hard out on Kimball and Denison. We've got that Denison North is still closed. Okay, so they've made good progress on some of the street work there. It may open for a period of time so that you have all three legs open, north, south, and east. But then as soon as graduation happens, we're going to close the intersection. So, but they do have that back frontage road completed. So that it's an alternate way to kind of get around the blockade. So that's proceeding well. Their work is continuing there in front of the office park right now, where they're working hard on utility relocation started that construction. And then again, after graduation, the plan is to close the intersection completely, and then also and have that hopefully all done and back open by the end of the summer before football starts back up again. So hopefully the weather will cooperate and we'll be able to get that done, and we don't have too many surprises we run into that we do occasionally. But Heber Construction is the contractor on that particular item. We are going to move some of those speed limit, automated speed limit and radar that we had the last time we did this out on Marlette. We'll likely move those back there. And I know, I think Brian has talked to John maybe about that. They're right that we had them out on the roundabout project on Kimball, so we'll just relocate them. And we obviously traffic has picked up some on Marlette as it has in the past. We've looked at some other, maybe some reader boards or something we might put on Sethchild to try and slow that northbound traffic down. That's kind of the area where you get, and I've asked our staff to talk to KDOT about maybe we could put one of those speed limit detector signs for northbound traffic just before you get to Marlette, because that seems to be where most of the accidents have been. We did look at that specific time frame when there was the last time we closed it, there were 5 accidents, but we also looked at the last 6 years, and that's about the average number of accidents at that intersection. So even with the extra traffic, there wasn't an additional load of accidents.
Was there a specific time frame on that, like early in the morning, rush hour, afternoon? I mean, like a specific time when those accidents occurred while under construction?
Yeah, I didn't ask that.
Because I think if I remember right, they were in line with that same time frame too.
Right.
Russia.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
That's
Okay.
that's where the big
I saw something 2 weeks ago on that. It was in line with the same thing.
sounds good. The Kimball and Grandmere roundabout reconstruction, there'll be some continuing work there with some street light installation and landscaping. And then the work on North Manhattan Avenue, north of the Anderson and Bluemont intersections continuing. Things are going fairly well. There's a campus piece of that where we're taking 2 campus roads, making a roundabout, and then tying that in with Bertrand Street. So right now, those streets are all offset from intersections. So, and then there'll be signals at those as well. So K-State's paying for all those improvements on their campus, and then the project's paying for the rest. But this will ultimately put traffic signals like we did on Platt Street, on Denison. And then they won't have a standalone pedestrian signal like we did at Weefall. The pedestrian crossings will be at the traffic signals. So the intent is that there will be flows of traffic while students are waiting to cross. So instead of constant student crossing, intermittent flow of traffic.
David, if you pay attention, get off your phone signs. That'd be applicable there too.
Yeah.
So anyway, that project will be continuing throughout the year, and then it has the bike path from Fremont through Aggieville will go into the first intersection and back on campus. So that's an interesting element. Award-winning them there. Okay, yeah. Construction has started down on Houston. So for the 300 and 400 blocks of Houston, total rebuild, the intersections at 3rd Street, or excuse me, at 4th Street and 5th Street will have bulb outs. So we're trying to calm the traffic down, slow that down right now. There's some sight distance issues. It's hard to see that traffic. So it'll be safer for pedestrians, much less gap for them to cross. Similar to what we did at Juliet and Points, where we built the bulb outs out into the street. And we've done it at other locations too. So that will be continuing throughout this year and hopefully wrapped up by the summer, but it is a full remove and replace project as well as the sidewalk. So we've hired another firm to help manage communication and business concerns to help alleviate some of that, so that there'll be good communication about schedules and when they might be more inconvenienced than not. Then with projects like that, we typically find old coal chutes and different other things, and you get a rain when things are exposed. So trying to work with them to help prevent some of those occurrences, any damage from happening. Speaking of Juliet, by the way, the contractor for the Houston Street project is Olguni Construction. And that was a $3.2 million project. The Juliet project, from the rest of it, essentially, what that we got a grant for, should go out to bid this spring. It's a KDOT project, and they will manage it, but it's to basically redo the brick from Juliet or from Points to Houston, and then tear up what is now asphalt covered brick on the next block, and then do major intersection improvements with the bulb outs, where they've done the temporary cones and striping there at the Catholic schools. So, so that should get bid. Hopefully we'll get good bids, and that should be a project that starts this summer. It's kind of what's KDOT's calendar right now, assuming all the reviews go well.
How's parking going to work with the library?
I think it should be okay, because they should still have full access off of Houston.
Okay.
Now, do those bricks, do they run all the way to Fort Riley Boulevard, or how far are they gonna go on?
I'm not sure if they go all that way or not. Right now, that's all we've planned to do. The rest of that roadway is in pretty decent shape.
Yeah. I'm just kind of wondering how far in the past they went.
We'll have to, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't recalled milling and overlaying those areas and seeing. There's a lot of streets that are covered that were previous to brick. And part of the issue is the subgrade is not good. So it's hard to keep a good pavement on it. Now, but the great thing about the bricks is that all the grants we've gotten on this have been historic grants, which has been highly unusual, because traditionally there's never been much funding in those projects. So they've been great ones to have. We did award the first concrete maintenance phase 1 project, and this is out in the Four Winds area. That was an area that was built, and we've had significant concrete deterioration there. And there were some new standards made for that area, trying to make quick improvements for Fort Riley families moving back. And those were probably those were some standards we should have changed, put it that way. But that's about $1 million contract that was awarded to Stallwalker Contracting to do that work. Let's see. I think, the other thing, I know your staff and our staff have met, or at least communicated on the animal control assistance, and so that discussion has started, so I appreciate that. Let's see, other than that, again, this is my last scheduled time to be in front of you. It's been a pleasure to work with county staff and county commissioners over my career. It's been, I think we get more done when we work together. And so that's always been something I've strived to do, and I just wish you all the best and hope that continues in the future. My last day is April 18th.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Have fun in Italy.
All right.
Trips you're gonna take.
Yeah, enjoy.
Beautiful
I
place.
do have one question.
Sure.
What's the status on Hayes encasement?
So originally, we had hoped to have that open by the end of March.
Mhm.
The last time I heard it, it's going to go into April.
Okay, so we're getting closer at least.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of questions about that. I live over there in the area, and
I understand. And then
we're all impatient about it.
We also have awarded the contract to Schilling to redo casement,
Okay,
to mill and overlay casement, basically from where the concrete stops,
okay.
all the way to the radio station.
Oh, wow, okay,
That should be done
okay.
early this year.
And linear trail with that too.
Yes, yes, Indian Trail probably won't open till the levee's officially substantially complete, which should be around early summer.
Okay.
There'll be a new phase for the levee that will focus on the railroad cut and a subsequent project that will have to be rebid. It's probably 2-3 years away. That may have some work on the railroad and some of the crossings we have over on 14th and 15th Street as well as part of that. Okay, new project. But all in all, that's the most of the major work on the levees getting really close.
Okay,
And then once that's done, we'll reopen the trail.
good deal.
Okay.
Okay, wish you the best of luck in retirement.
Enjoy retirement, Ron.
All right.
It's been good
Thank
working
you.
with you over 5 years. Well, we've got some time. We want to jump back and finish business.
Sure thing. I get a motion on the minutes. We do have to go back a ways.
Yeah, been a long morning.
Productive.
I didn't see anything on. the
I
minutes.
didn't either.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 9th or February 29th.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written from the February 29th meeting of the Riley County Commission. All in favor? Aye.
Tentative agendas look okay, commissioners?
Yeah.
Any items for next week's press conference?
I have none.
Do you all want to attend Good Morning Manhattan Thursday, March 21st?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Long already. Yeah, put me down for it. Do you have the speaker who's going to be there?
Jamie Morris Hardman, Chair of USD 383. Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's all I have, commissioners. I believe we're actually caught up for once today with 5 minutes to spare.
Only getting to the last, second to last agenda. Yeah.
Second or fifth of the last based on the number of things Julie has.
Well, I was combining all that in.
Yeah, I know what you're doing. Everyone's had a long list today.
Always hit and miss this time of the year, isn't it?
Brian, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Have a minute.
Yeah, actually, that's in virtual. So, actually, I don't know where I'm right. Yeah. So when he was the regular, I've written on that. Okay. Yeah, thanks. It's making way more space for this. Yeah. Perfect. I don't know. I don't know that. Thanks. You do constant. It's always yeah. Now that's so much favorite. Yesterday was so fun. I consider it, you know, just another letter. One of your animals.
Oh,
Temperature, inner temperature control. I lost about 7 pounds. That's where some of them.
Oh, really? Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay.
Okay, we're at 11 o'clock. Need a motion, please. Oh, yeah.
Move to recess the Board of County Commissioners to convene as the Board of Health.
I'd second that.
Been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Commission and then reconvene as the Board of County Health. All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, Julie.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Julie Gibbs with the Health Department. I'm here for several reasons. The first one is to present to you the Substance Misuse Task Force, the mission, vision statement. We have a set of values, challenges, and then our recommendations moving forward. So we put a lot of work into this over the last, since we started meeting in August. We've met monthly since August through February, and then we decided to meet quarterly from here on out as the big group. We have formed 3 subcommittees, and they will meet more regularly based on the need, really. So this is our mission statement. We wanted to include some keywords here, including education, awareness. We have prevention in there. This was drawn up and then revised many, many times, but we wanted to include everything that we thought needed to be included that really is going to what our work is going to focus on. We also have membership here. These are all the individuals who are currently representing around the table, who are currently part of the big committee. You can see representation from the city of Manhattan, from Riley County, many entities in Riley County. Also Potawatomi County and Geary County are still involved in the task force as well. And hopefully this is to be continued. We'll hopefully add some more members to this as well. I've already talked to Rick Hernandez he's the director of the Manhattan Free Clinic, and he's also interested in becoming involved in this task force. So some of our details, our vision statement here again, like our mission statement, we worked hard on this and it was revised many times. And then we have a set of values. I won't read them to you, you can read them on your own. Challenges are, many of you probably guessed many of these. So insufficient services available in the Wildcat region, gaps in our education and communication, insufficient coordination and collaboration, which is the primary reason why we formed this task force, and then lack of resources to effectively address the issues. Some of our goals and outcomes for this next year include overcoming stigma with the promotion of education and awareness, identifying best practices and harm reduction, like the use of Narcan, identify opportunities to support advocacy efforts, and identify gaps in services and research funding opportunities that we can all discuss around the table. I've included some data for our Wildcat region, so within the 3 counties, and then also within Kansas. So just to show the primary reason for this, so you all know this information. And then coming down to our recommendations, to work regularly within the subcommittees and set goals. So you'll see our 3 subcommittees there, and then to meet as a large group quarterly to share information and data. That's what I have for you. And I plan to come to you with anything big happening, any kind of funding opportunities. Of course, I'll come to you for that. And then yearly, we'll make adjustments to this, and I'll present those to you yearly along with our activities and if we've met our outcomes. So
You mentioned challenges that I missed on.
there were a set of 4 challenges. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, good. So we're gonna have a mental health task force meeting this afternoon. I figure this will probably come up.
Yeah.
So we need some kind of a motion then, right?
We do.
For what to approve this?
Yep.
Yes. We're okay with it, of course, or not, and we should discuss it.
I move to approve the Substance Misuse Task Force report.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Substance Misuse Task Force 2024 recommendations. All those in favor? Aye.
Chair, please sign.
Thank you. Thanks to the members for support.
Yeah, and continued work, obviously, too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you've got a 5th challenge, don't you? The chair of this task force.
Should have added that to the list.
Yeah, and make sure to add that to the bottom.
Which one?
Our 5th challenge, the chair of the task force.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's what we get. Yes.
Thank you.
He didn't say it, so.
Here for support.
Oh, you can continue on, Julie.
Okay.
You're good.
I have a few more things.
Yep.
So this next one's the, my update. So this is my monthly report for March, reflecting back on the month of February. So we'll start with what Shelley's provided, the revenues and expenses by department. And this is what it usually looks like this time of year. Any questions on any of that so far? Go into clinic updates, and Breva will be here later. She's our MCH supervisor. She'll provide you with a full report from MCH for this month. So during the month of February, the clinic saw 357 total appointments. They had 145 family planning visits. They administered 230 immunizations across 136 patients, and they also hosted a few outreach events at MHS. They delivered approximately 15 immunizations each time that they went, just to catch kids up on their vaccinations. We are beginning contracting with a temporary insurance plan, Point Comfort. This is for refugees, sponsored by the Kansas Office for Refugees. This plan will assist in accessing care at the health department and allow the county to be more easily compensated for rendering those services. So it's really a win-win for us and for the patients to be able to use our services, and then we'll get a kickback from that as well. So we just met with a representative from Point Comfort, Shelley and Jacob and I, to make sure that all of our questions were answered and how to do that, and that we were all comfortable with that. So we'll begin looking at that. Of course, I'll bring that before we do anything with that. We are also exploring offering the application of fluoride varnish for children as funded by a state grant. Fluoride varnish is intended to harden the tooth and can help with reducing cavities by as much as 43% in adolescents and 37% in baby teeth. CanCare allows for medical providers to be compensated for 3 fluoride applications per year, in addition to 3 applications per year from the dentist. So this is something that KDHE really has been pushing for the past year now, as they do have funding to be able to give to the local health departments if they're interested in doing this. And of course, we need training along with that. So we're still in contact with KDHE about training and about funding to be able to provide fluoride varnish, but it doesn't really take a whole lot of time from what we've been told. And as long as we have the training to do so, we can provide that for our patients. So be a benefit to our patients for sure.
So this is in addition to through the Kansa dental.
Yes.
So they get additional ones through them and then through you as well.
If they go to Kansa, yes. And then we do have some upcoming events. Well, one with the clinic, Little Apple Pride Day. They've been with Little Apple Pride Day for the last, I don't know how many years. They went down there. They're going to be taking the trailer to provide free STI testing. That's on April 20th. It's a Saturday from 3 to 6. They're partnering with Positive Connections so they can provide all of the STI testing. So it's a great benefit to our community to provide that for free, along with education, of course. Childcare licensing was pretty busy during the month of February, a total of 37 visits across their 5 counties. They're investigating only 3 complaints, so that number's down, and working on 5 initials. They offered a Zoom for providers regarding the fingerprint process, since it is the 5-year mark. Heather's also attended the statewide systems improvement team, as she usually does. And Julia, one of our specialists, attended the Dickinson County Early Childhood Council, as well as the Geary County Early Childhood Family Network meetings. Both Angie and Heather attended the Family Consumer Advisory Board meeting in Wamego in February for the school district there. And both Anna and Heather also attended the Clay County Child Care Summit. Anna also attended the local interagency coordinating council for Potawatomi County, and Julia conducted a regulation review for a center in Dickinson County. Very busy in February. And this is a facility update for our current month of March.
And I'm happy to announce that we are actually up 3 providers in Geary County. We're down 1 in Clay and Pot County, up 1 in Riley County. So that's an increase of 2 daycares in our region. I've been used to saying decrease for the last several months, so I'm happy to announce we're up a couple. And Raising Riley has been very busy as well. They do have a wait list right now for their childcare scholarships. And I asked Jan when the last time was they were on a wait list, and she said it's been years. So it's good and bad. I mean, we're getting the word out about our scholarships, but also not a great thing that we have a wait list. But as placements change, we will accept children from the wait list based on the highest need. As far as outreach events, Raising Riley staff participated in Family Fun Storytime. They interacted with 50 adults and 63 children. They hosted their monthly Laundry Love event on the 13th. They interacted with 8 adults and 10 children. And they helped with Zufari Tales, interacted with 15 adults and 20 children. As far as assessments, they conducted 24 child assessments and 2 one-on-one visits completed with providers in the area. And then as far as family engagement, they hosted a family play and learn event, which was game night on the 6th of February. They had 10 families attend with 12 adults and 20 children. They hosted their parent book club on the 20th of February, and 6 families attended, 7 adults and 8 kids. And they hosted their first basic health literacy class for MART families on the 23rd of February. They had 7 families attend, 7 adults and 3 children. This cohort will complete on the 29th of March, so it is a 6-week session. They'll start another one on April 12th, and that will end on May 10th. Also, Danae visited 26 childcare facilities for story time in February. WIC helped to get us recognized as the Breastfeeding Family Local Health Department. So along with collaborating with the MCH program, they had to do so many things, hit so many bullet marks to get the certificate for Breastfeeding Friendly Local Health Department. So criteria included having a referral process in place for local hospitals, a breastfeeding room in each building, imagery, trained lactation staff, and services provided to the community. So as long as we were to meet all of those requirements, we were able to be recognized as a breastfeeding friendly local health department. WIC certified 73 new pregnant women and 49 new infants in February, so they're busy as usual. And Kathy, one of our dietitians, is re-engaging the Healthy Prescription group that provides the $20 vouchers to the summer farmers market and to Hy-Vee. This is a program that was started a few years ago with the Food and Farm Council. They acquired grant funds to be able to do this, and it's a great benefit to our community. Kathy also taught the nutrition class for the MCH Becoming a Mom series, and she also taught the Starting Solids class for Becoming a Family series. And then BEP has been busy as well. They had 3 staff receive certification to teach CPR and first aid classes. So they hope to begin offering quarterly CPR and first aid classes to the public. They're going to attend one of Jada's classes. She's teaching on May 9th to absorb that class, and then they'll be ready to go by the end of May. We've also been doing some school surveillance with UST 383 and 378. Those are the 2 that are willing to participate. We're still working on the other schools. So this shows you what we have come across since we started this in October. So what the nurses do is they just take the information from what they're told either by their parents or what they diagnose as the issue, and this is what we've been seeing. So right now, by far, it's norovirus that is the most commonly reported identifiable illness that school children are missing school for. There have been 230 cases in USD 378, and that's the Riley County grade school and high school, and 985 cases in USD 383 since October of 2020. Norovirus is the leading cause of vomiting, diarrhea, and foodborne illnesses in the US. The CDC recommends good hand hygiene and disinfecting services for prevention of norovirus. So the important thing about this is that every month, Skylar can get this information, send it out to the schools to let them know, hey, this is what most of your kids are calling in sick for, and this is the information that you can provide to the parents to mitigate the spread. So it's worked well for us, and it's also great for data to have that information. So. And then I wanted to give you, I still call it the overdose data to action, but this is Jenny's work. So I actually have, should I give you the right one? This is the community opioid use prevention. This is a report from Jenny. Looking back on the month of February. So she delivered 5 presentations in February. 406 individuals were in attendance. Some of these were out of county because these are were already set. Those dates were already set before we went to just Riley County. So they were set in the fall. So we still fulfill those requirements. She's also given presentations to 2,576 individuals to date since she started in October. She has 20 pending events for March. So she'll be busy in this month. I keep forgetting that we're already in March. And then
Let's do this.
13 meetings with community partners in February and also 13 trainings in February. So you have more details in front of you with her report there. Any questions for Jenny since she's here? I've been on spot. I also have another update. This is for the Drug Endangered Children grant.
Yeah. Nice to see you again.
So Andrea is our new Drug Endangered Children of Kansas coordinator for Riley County. She's working 20 hours a week under the direction of Shanika, our health educator. Right now, they're finishing up survey questions. We're supposed to do a community assessment according to the grant. Making connections in the community. She's been out and about really making those connections in the community. Researching resources for professionals who encounter those kids from drug endangered environments, developing relationships with our community health educator and our substance misuse task force. And then putting together care bags. So these would be bags for the kids that are removed from their home because of a substance use reason. Many times we've heard that they're just given a trash bag to put their stuff in the trash bag. So we're looking at purchasing actual bags, school bags or whatnot, to have some of the essentials that they need in that bag already for them. So that's just some of the work. And then we do have some fun upcoming events. So we're hosting another open house and Easter egg hunt on March 28th. That's a Thursday from 5 to 7. We did this last year. I believe it was on April 1st. It was a really cold morning. I thought we wouldn't have anyone come out, and we had a ton of kids. We had about 100 kids that were all bundled up, ready to hunt for Easter eggs. So it was a fun event for them and for their parents too. They got some great information. So we'll host that again. We also have our annual Bugapalooza coming up. That's set for Saturday, April 20th from 1 to 3. We partnered with K-State with the Insect Club. So we will host this outside of the KSU Gardens. So. And then I do have another handout. Build a tree.
I was gonna say, trees don't really like you, do they?
I know. This is a full report of the mental health systems assessment that we conducted in October. When I say we, it was mainly Flint Wellness Coalition. Shanika and Tasha did a lot of work for that. I just summarized the strengths and weaknesses that came out of that. You have the full report, and then there will be a white page that comes out of this. White paper, yeah, that comes out of that as well. So we'll share that with you when we get that done. Probably doesn't come as any surprise to you, the strengths and weaknesses in our community. We had over 70 individuals at this on this day. And we got together for a couple of hours, and they got to move around the room, go to different tables of their choice and talk about issues with that certain topic. So it was youth and substance use, and homelessness was one of them. But overall, the strengths in our community, we do have strong collaboration, although that did come up as one of our weaknesses as well. Less stigma related to mental health. Even, 10 or 20 years ago, there was a lot of stigma related to mental health, and people saying, well, you're seeing a counselor is because you're crazy. And now I feel like that has gone away, or there's less of it. The co-responder program has been huge in our area. The crisis intervention team as well, and the crisis stabilization unit has been helpful as well.
Was there any talk about the CIT training that's done last couple of summers, and the impact maybe community regionally that's having, or maybe not having, I don't know.
I didn't have the privilege of sitting. I was organizing and coordinating. So I can get that information and email it to you. I would believe that may have come up in a couple conversations, but I just wasn't privileged to them.
I think the first one, it was all kind of internal with RCPD and now they're trying to get that a little bit more kind of in the hands of paramedics, first responders, dispatchers, and trying to kind of broaden the base of that outward a little bit more. So gotta be some kind of response to that, whether that's good or bad. I mean, I don't know, but gotta be kind of figuring that out at some point in time.
And then a few other ones like the 988 suicide hotline, more and more, we're getting more and more about that. Also, the mhkmentalhealth.org website is huge. So getting the word out about that more. You can really tailor it to what you need based on your needs. And if you don't have insurance, you can also put in that. And
we doing more community outreach on that one because I didn't learn about that one until fall myself.
Yeah,
It's pretty
we need
good.
more on that.
Pretty good resource, it seems like. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know.
No, I think it is
Yeah,
for
okay.
sure. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know about that one.
And then weaknesses, of course, lack of funding for new and expanded services, need for more providers in the area, lack of awareness, again, with the MHK mental health website, lack of communication, collaboration, transportation barriers. There's usually a long wait at most places, and no inpatient treatment or sober living options currently in our area.
Yeah, this one's a struggle.
Okay, and one more handout. I'm done.
Another tree?
Yeah.
She's annihilated a forest by now.
I know. Got to put that one up there on the list too.
So this is our strategic plan progress report. And I already mentioned this to you, it's available on our website. We have this in place to help lead our activities and measure the effectiveness of our services. So this strategic plan had to be altered a bit because of the pandemic. So basically just took out 2 years. So now this report is from our work in 2022 and 2023. Our plan is modeled off of the foundational public health model, and it involves 4 priorities, which you see here. So promote and protect health, which is part of our mission, community outreach and engagement, which we're doing more and more of, quality and sustainability, and skilled and engaged staff. So we have activities and goals within each of those sections. We'll have a final report once we wrap this up at the end of 2025. And then we'll start to put together our 2026 to 2030 strategic plan this fall. More on that. All right, and then lastly, I have new COVID guidance. It's been a while since you've heard me say that. So I've had new guidance for a while. So as of March 1, CDC released their updated recommendations for how people can protect themselves and their communities from respiratory viruses, including COVID-19. So it's now a unified approach. They just included COVID-19 in with all of the respiratory viruses, so like the flu and RSV. CDC made these updates to the recommendations because the US is seeing far fewer hospitalizations with COVID, and we have far fewer numbers. So when you get sick with a respiratory virus, of course, we want you to stay home and away from others and come back to work or to school once your symptoms are improving and you're 24 hours fever-free without fever-reducing medication. So this is what we want to put in our recommendations for Riley County employees. And of course, this is all recommendations from the CDC to stay up to date with vaccination, practice good hand hygiene, and then one that you don't see a lot is taking steps for cleaner air.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah,
How do you,
with it being more respiratory, that's one thing that they.
how do you
make
do that in
sure-
like Chicago or Detroit or
Yeah,
LA?
I know, yeah.
Fresh outside air.
You don't want to go outside. You want to stay inside in those places, I don't think.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna scroll down past Brevis here and go on to the new COVID guidance for Riley County employees, basically just mimicking the CDC guidance that you see. So just to let you know that and get your approval for that.
I'm not seeing where it really.
Staying away from others.
So we went from the 5-day period now down to basically 25
Yeah.
with some really cloudy circumstances. You know, what constitutes 24 hours after
24 hours after fever.
24 hours without, yeah, fever free.
fever?
Yeah.
And if you don't know,
One,
That's common.
Well, that's what
everything
I'm,
else.
that's, okay.
Common sense.
Mhm.
Okay.
Treat it like everything else.
Yeah.
Imagine how we got there. Just a long road to get there.
Just 4 years.
are there any new boosters in the horizon for COVID?
Oh, yeah.
Say that with great enthusiasm,
That was good. I think she's tired of this topic as well.
I always just encourage people to call the healthcare provider because it is different for everyone. So I just say, talk to your healthcare provider, or you can just call the health department. But yeah.
Need to approve the, excuse me, approve the the new guidelines for our Raleigh County employees.
I would second that.
It's been seconded to, at the Board of County Health adopt the new CDC guidelines for Raleigh County employees. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next
That's all I
one,
have.
next one's behind you.
Okay.
Right on schedule.
Yeah, Breva's next.
Yeah, okay. No, we were struggling to see who was next.
Oh.
That was resolved. Throughout the whole week school.
We'd rather hear from you than Clancy.
Oh.
Thank
you. The flash drive.
Yeah, right on the side there should be the CPU.
Yeah. I can't see. You got it. Okay.
Apple?
Want one?
No, thank you. Keep the doctor away. Got me berries for fruit.
No, it doesn't work.
In my lunch.
It doesn't work.
Apples?
No.
You're supposed to eat it.
Well, I do. It doesn't work.
I'm just curious.
Kind of like if you don't go outside with the coat, you'll get a cold, that's a misconception.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is. The cold doesn't.
Many things I've been lied to about all my life.
I like apples because they give that sweetness, and I don't eat all the sweets.
And it makes cider, which apple cider is supposed to cure everything nowadays, they say.
Ready for Breva?
Go ahead.
Hey, well, welcome, or thanks for having me today. I'm going to talk about our maternal and child health program and give some updates. Just to remind you what our mission and vision is, to promote and protect the health and safety of our community through evidence-based practices, prevention, education. And then our maternal and child health mission is to improve the health and well-being of Kansas mothers, infants, children, and youth, including children and youth with special healthcare needs and their families. And then I wanted you to meet our staff. So if we start from left to right, Jada Hendricks is our M&I nurse. Then there's me. Sarah K. Barker is our MCH social worker. Sarah Darnell is our MCH home visitor. Tammy Feldkamp is our MCH social worker. Leslie James is our MCH clerk. Sarah Boxberger is our MCH nurse. And Maria Figueroa is our MCH bilingual navigator. So these are some of the services that we provide. I'm not going to go into lengthy detail because I did that last year, but just a reminder that our maternal infant nurse visits are prenatal and postpartum. A lot of people like those because they supplement what they receive at the OBGYN or for their prenatal visits at the Women's Health Group. We do on-site, we do weight checks. We also do education on nutrition, just the stage that they're in, as well as fetal heart tones once they reach that stage. And then postpartum, again, we provide weight checks for mom and baby, provide education, and again, it's to supplement what they would get with their pediatrician. Our MCH postpartum nurse also goes out to the home, and so she can do those things in the home and also provide a newborn visit or assessment of the newborn and of mom. Our MCH home visit is prenatal and postpartum. Our prenatal visit is just to make sure the family is ready for babies. So we talk about safety items, making sure they have a car seat, safe sleep,
items to make sure that their kiddos, gonna be slept safe. And then postpartum, they receive our Becoming a Mom gift if they've taken our Becoming a Mom prenatal education classes. And then also give them a lot of education and resources for who to connect with in the community to, hopefully have everything they need to be successful. Our Becoming a Mom classes are 6 prenatal education classes, and they consist of everything from first when you become pregnant to labor and delivery and postpartum warning signs. When they complete all 6 classes, we are blessed to be able to give an incentive through one of the grants we receive locally. So they receive a car seat, a pack and play, or a video monitor after the 6 classes have been completed. And our Becoming a Family classes, we implemented about 2 years ago because we felt like we had a lot of things prenatally, but not a lot postpartum. So we wanted to continue on with that support postpartum. So our 4th trimester parenting classes consist of infant cues, 4th trimester and beyond. We do starting solids with baby, and then we have CPR and first aid right now. We offer pregnancy testing and confirmation. We try to do that same day, if at all possible. And we usually receive the referral from clinic. If we know that they've already tested positive, then they try to send them over to us for the confirmation so we can get them connected with the women's health group seamlessly. And then we have our on-site behavioral health consultants and our therapists, our student therapists. That has been a great resource for our clients as well. Currently, we have 1 student therapist, but I'll come with numbers and data later on that. And we implemented perinatal yoga through one of our Kansas Perinatal Community Collaborative initiatives this year. And so with that, we're able to provide perinatal yoga free of charge for anyone prenatal or postpartum. And if they have children, we have on-site childcare for free. So that's been exciting and something we're hoping to continue on in the future. We have 4 breastfeeding certified lactation counselors who provide breastfeeding support. So our MCH nurse Jada, our M&I nurse Sarah, our Maria Riguero, our bilingual navigator, and then Sarah Darnell, who's our MCH visitor, all our certified lactation counselors. We provide a lot of support in the community to kind of offset those that go to IAC because they currently don't have any breastfeeding certified lactation counselors or even nurses that are certified in that. So we've been picking up some of those people that live locally, as well as helping out at Via Christi. 2 of our staff are presumptive eligibility specialists. Sorry, I take that back. 3 of them are. So again, Sarah Darnell, Maria, and then Tammy Feldkamp are our presumptive eligibility specialists. So they can approve CanCare applications for a period of time until they're actually final approval with CanCare. So that's been helpful to get some of the ball rolling on some services that otherwise would be delayed, whether it's prenatal or for their pediatrician care. And then I'm the co-chair and grant coordinator for the Riley County Perinatal Coalition. That coalition is made up of many people within the community, such as Diane Wendelken, who's our APRN at the Women's Health Group. We have people from Pediatric Associates, WIC. We have some behavioral health specialists in the community who are set on that coalition. So it's a great way to connect and provide resources to all the families that we serve together. And then our grant that we provide is to provide prenatal care for those who don't have access to insurance. So it's not that you can't afford it or you don't can't afford to pay the premiums, but you cannot apply for insurance. So a lot of those are undocumented population, and then they work with Maria, our bilingual navigator, through all of that process. And then Sarah Haybarker is our Safe Kids coordinator for all of Riley County. She is housed under MCH, but it is a big undertaking for her to be over all the different things that she's supposed to be doing under Safe Kids. So that's car seat check lane, any of our safety, injury prevention or childhood safety initiatives. She's really the coordinator for all of that and making sure the information and advocacy is going on around that piece of it. So our on-site behavioral health, We started this about 3 years ago with the K-State Couples and Family Therapy Program. It's been great for our clients who don't have access to insurance or can't afford the premium or the co-pays, or even if self-pay is an option, they usually can't afford that either sometimes. So this is a great option for them to be able to receive that behavioral health services. And from January 1 to December 31st, we had 22 client referrals. So we keep our client referrals in-house with the health department. The Women's Health Group does sometimes refer people over, but usually they're in-house from the health department. And then we've served 13 clients within this time range, and we have a total of 146 sessions that have been completed. And that's on site at the Family and Child Resource Center. We've worked really hard to create really great partnerships and referral processes with many of our community partners who are integral in making sure that families are cared for before and after pregnancy. So the Women's Health Group now has a referral system in place where when they come in for their first appointment, they will, we're embedded into their EHR. So we receive a fax for pretty much everyone who goes to receive services there unless they opt out of it. And so then we are able to connect them with our services. The Christie Labor and Delivery, we are able to go up there and round twice a week and receive referrals that way. IAC Labor and Delivery, as you know, it can be very time consuming and trying to get into those different areas, but we have succeeded finally. And we have 2 staff who are able to go onto post and go onto the labor and delivery floor, and also provide our MCH services, breastfeeding support, and they also send us referrals as needed, as well as the OB clinic there at IAC as well. And then obviously our great partner with WIC, who's housed within the health department, we have a referral list that we share back and forth with everyone. So.
Hey, Brittany, what is IAC?
It's our Irwin Army Community Hospital.
Oh, Irwin,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, it's a hospital that's on post. So they sometimes aren't able to deliver on site anymore because of their capacity at the hospital. So they have I'm assuming an agreement with Via Christi that they also are able to deliver there. So they will send people to deliver it via Christi when they don't have the capacity there. So some of those are overflows, and then some of them we actually go out into post for. If that makes sense. So these are all the funding and grant opportunities that we have and that we're excited to have. We do the Title V MCH Block Grant, and we have a 40% match with that. I'm responsible, myself and Sarah Darnell are responsible for completing that application every year, which is pretty lengthy and a huge undertaking sometimes. And then we do biannual reports on that. We also have the KDHE OPI grant, and that's the grant that our MCH social workers fall under, as well as a little bit of MCH. That grant is really to reduce risks in the community for our families. We received the Memorial Hospital Association grant, and that's the one that helps us with our Becoming a Mom incentives, as well as marketing and funding for that. Our Kansas breastfeeding grant, we receive sometimes when we apply for it, just for breastfeeding initiatives that we have going on. And we usually do that as part of the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition here in Riley County. So the Riley County Prenatal Grant I already spoke to. It's for those who don't have access to prenatal care. KDHE Injury Prevention Grant, it falls under us because we are part of Safe Kids, and Sarah Haybarker is our Safe Kids Coalition Chair. So they have a lot of grants that come out just for different injury prevention initiatives. So it could be car seats, it could be pack and place, it could be, we've received life jackets before. There's a huge amount of things that you can apply for depending on what you're wanting to focus on. And then our core Safe Sleep Grant is the one we received recently to help support our community baby shower. They provided us money to purchase safe sleep bundles. So we can hopefully be able to provide about 100 for those who attend the community baby shower this year. And then we also apply for other grants as they become available. So most recently we applied for the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation grant to help with the safe sleep or the community baby shower and safe sleep initiatives.
Here are some highlights that we had from 2023. Our community baby shower was held on June 4th. We had about 71 bundles were provided, and we had about 125 total in attendance. Our 2024 community baby shower, we're going to hold that on June 8th. And we've partnered with Sunset Zoo, so we're excited to have additional partners this year who want to help us throw a great baby shower for the community. Here's pictures from last year, just some highlights.
Year number 2 of the three.
Three,
Okay.
yeah, 3. Yeah, our first year was kind of just a trial and error, and then it kind of has expanded. We've received great community agencies have really helped out and been really willing
It had
to.
something to do with that first year too, didn't it?
Maybe so. But
Yeah.
COVID. Oh, yeah,
think
it did
everybody's
us for
kinda
mass, and we had to
apprehensive,
figure out a different flow for sure. But Hy-Vee has been great. They've always donated food and snacks for us, so they've done that every year. So they've been helpful with that. Our band participation has skyrocketed, and we are excited for that. We provide the series of 6 prenatal classes, and we use the March of Dimes curriculum. So we had a total of 890 participants who attended at least one of the sessions throughout the year. But we had 202 unduplicated participants. So overall, that's a huge increase from last year. 114 participants completed all 6 BAM classes. So we're excited to see that is over 50%. The rate across the state is much lower than that. It's around 30% who complete all 6 classes. So we're definitely incentivizing that piece to make sure they get all 6 classes. And then 114 of the attendees participated in BAM virtually and reside in another county. And then 55 participants attended the Spanish BAM classes. So that's taught by our bilingual navigator in Spanish to those clients. And then our perinatal yoga started in September, and we received the grant in late August. And it will end in June 30th of this year. But we're hoping to continue funding on past that time. We have a certified trauma-informed perinatal yoga instructor named Ali, and she is wonderful and very passionate about the families and the moms that we serve. So we've had 99 mothers register. We've had 43 attend. 14 have attended the free on-site childcare. And then 19 classes have been held thus far with an average class size of 8. With our grant deliverables, we do have to do some sort of measurement of feelings, and we're hoping to increase their socialization, increase their feelings of feeling better when they take the class. And so we do a little brief little thing in the beginning of every class. And so they've had an average of 8 after every class. And they started out between 5 and 6. So everyone who's attended has felt a little bit better after leaving our class, which we're happy about. This increase in revenue was our quality improvement project that we did this past year. Our goal was to increase our revenue by $2,000 for billable services. And we, our baseline for 2021 was $500 due to some lack of timely submissions, and there was a no charge code embedded in the system that we weren't aware of. So we made some adjustments. We also gave Leslie James, our MCH clerk, some more responsibilities around billing and coding. And therefore, she's done a great job of researching what our services are. She's on a statewide call now with other billing and coding clerks that around the state. And so that's really great. She's able to figure out what services we provide and how to better code and bill for that. So our total revenue in 2023 was calculated to be around $6,600. And so we definitely met our goal this year and thought that was a great highlight to let you all know about. I think that's it. Okay, well, thanks for everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Good weekend.
Move to recess as the Board of Health and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Health and then reconvene as the Board of County Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good day.
You too.
More three originals for the signature.
More paper.
Let's see the draft.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
No.
I'm first gonna give you, this is all on Senate Bill 162. I'm gonna give you a draft, two things. I'm gonna start with mine only because mine has photos on it for the testimony before the legislature Monday. And then I'll show you the testimony I'm gonna propose that you sign. The written testimony does not have photos. I was encouraged by our lobbyists to not use photos, but that was gonna confuse the issue. But I think you'll see why I'm gonna go rogue on this
Kind of liked it.
Yeah.
and
I thought it was good.
explain why I think the photos are absolutely critical. If you look at the draft you have now, again, is my testimony. And again, we're starting with mine because it has the photos on it. We've got property 1, property 2, and property 3. I do not reference, much like the last time when this Senate Bill 162 was in front of the Senate committee in February of last session and a good hearing, but we did not identify anybody by name. We're not going to do that this time. We're not going to do that during this presentation, but you'll recognize the properties. And the property 1 is that property along 24. Home that's been under construction for 19 years. Property 2 is the piece of land out by the airport. That also has a number of trailers on it and that kind of thing. And then property 3 is the property off Silverberry that last count, well, in December, they had 300 vehicles on it in various stages of disrepair. When I've got photographs like this, I'm going to use them.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, and I'm going to explain that to Tom. Because I did pull the photographs. There were some close-up photographs, but I think the real story is told by these areas.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you look at these and say there's not a nuisance on each one of these problems. We'll see. But I do want to at least walk you through the text of mine real quickly. So you know what I propose my testimony will be. Since I'm following either Commissioner McKinley or Commissioner Ford, whichever one of you decides you want to go, if you can arm wrestle with this. Catherine, I made the executive decision not to invite you because I don't know that kind of trip is good. I don't know that would be useful for you.
Okay.
Given the current recovery.
Mhm.
I think that marching around the
appreciate
Capitol
that.
is not going to help you feel that.
Well, the stairs would be tough.
Yeah. So I hope that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I did, in talking separately with the other two commissioners, each had, I asked Greg because originally John.
Yeah, what happened is the event that I thought I wrote down on my calendar on March 11th is actually March 18th. So my conflict is now actually with the law board instead. But if you're already prepared to go on Monday, I can stay here and just.
And either one of you would be fine.
Yeah,
I just wanted to let you know why we had potentially two, and the testimony works for either of you.
Yeah.
Because if you're okay with it, when we get to that, you're presenting the board's testimony and then you're testifying on behalf of the board. So, my testimony in any event, because I follow whichever one of you goes, I talk about, let's discuss the same 3 Riley County properties that were identified in, I say in this, Commissioner Ford's written testimony, but I can change that fairly quickly. It would require you to wait around to be able to do that. I don't have another example of that that I could do, but I could make that change fast. And then I talk about property 1, talk about it being the uninhabited house under construction, the same property owner for the past 19 years. I talk about it being totally unfinished today, totally unfinished after those 19 years. There's also obviously trash and debris all piled up all over the property, as you can see in the aerial. Said equally frustrating, Riley County's been in continuous litigation on this since 2017. We did manage to get, the district court judge did find there was a nuisance, made that finding. Ordered that the property be cleaned up by date in December, I believe. And what happened is that didn't occur. So that next spring, the court found the owner of the property in contempt for not following up on, not doing what the court had ordered him to do in terms of cleaning up the property. There was then an appeal filed on his behalf to challenge the proceeding, to challenge the contempt order. That went to the Court of Appeals, generating more delay. And then we finally do get a decision in that. We prevailed. Craig won that appeal in the Court of Appeals, which sends us right back to the district court. And so Shelley is currently working on this and we're moving forward on it. And we'll see how it goes. Now, that's property two. Property two is then out by the airport. It talks about the fact that that has a situation which is addressed by Senate Bill 162. Here we've got, there's no pending case, but that's because we've not been able to get service on the owner of the property. And Senate Bill 162 has a specific provision that says if you cannot locate the person, you still can move forward because you do door hangers, you try to contact them, make a good faith effort to find them, you still can move forward. This kind of property is perfect for that. And again, none of this means that any of these will be used on any of these properties. These are examples of 3 that are longstanding problems that Senate Bill 162, even in its current form as amended by the Senate, would address. And we end this with property 3. And of course, that's the property out on Pillsbury. And I asked Shelley, our deputy county counselor, she'd been out there with, or she either personally or been out there with somebody from planning, or sent somebody from planning and development as recently as February. And about 20 vehicles at the time had been removed out of the 300. So it's moving a little slowly. But we're limited in what we can do because it's either get cooperation on some level, which we normally get some, but there's no real authority to do anything that will motivate the owner of a property that's seriously in violation to move forward and get it done. And Senate Bill 162 does that because, as you know, what it provides is the county can go in and do what needs to be done itself with its own staff and equipment, and then make sure those costs are levied against the property, not against the individual, as a lien. And normally when there's a lien on real property, as has been shown over time, for example, with unpaid benefit district sewer charges, eventually those get paid because somebody at some time is going to want to transfer that property. And so it's a means of finally getting things done that need to get done. That's what my testimony will be, my written testimony. If you're comfortable with it, are you generally comfortable with that way of proceeding on Monday? At least on my behalf. And I'm going to show you what you got, what I have as a draft for yours. Quickly go through that with you. Let's put you on more paper.
Is there ever really enough paper?
We think we're running out of trees.
The sun is shining brighter, but I forgot it's just because all the trees we took down.
That's a good way to look at it. It's actually a public service. All right. The testimony I've crafted, either for Commissioner Ford or for Commissioner McKinley, starts out just saying that this was introduced unanimously, Senate Bill 162, and that you continue to unanimously support 162. And it describes the fact that even as it was amended in Senate local government, Senate Bill 162 passed out of the Senate, we tell them, remind the members of the House by a vote of 34-5, 34 in favor, 5 against, or abstaining. So good numbers in the Senate. We point out in the next paragraph, that's 160, I'm sorry.
There was only one person that didn't vote.
Well, I said either against or abstain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in that category. So 34 in favor, 5 that were not in favor.
Well, there was one that abstained that didn't technically vote to equal 40.
Right.
Okay.
Evidently. But again, all I'm trying to do is describe the fact there was a large number of votes.
Okay, well, fair enough.
More so than anything else. Senate Bill 162 allows Riley County to clean up public nuisance real properties in the unincorporated area and impose a cleanup cost upon the nuisance real property, as you know. And it says here in the next paragraph, I thought it was important to point out to the House you accepted all amendments offered in the Senate because they made it abundantly clear, this bill does not apply to agricultural operations. It does not apply to agribusiness operations or agritourism operations. The bill itself, which will, which the committee will have in front of it, obviously, shows in bold type all those amendments. That's how it's going to look when they see it during the hearing. And those were the things that were introduced, and you had no objection, because that isn't the problem properties. None of them in that category, no problem. Next, say the current law, we talked just briefly about the fact that the reason we're asking for this is we don't have the authority. So we've gone over many times. Then in the last, next to the last paragraph, talk about the fact that best evidence of why you need this statute is by looking at these 3 different properties, and it talks about the fact that they're going to hear about that. All these aerial photos that are attached they are from countywide aerial flights in 2022, being upfront about that. But so what? We don't have a more current aerial, and we have on-site information that I can relay at the time of the testimony as well. But it makes a promise here that they're going to get the detail on that stuff from me when I get up with what you've already looked at. And I will try to walk them through those photographs to the extent that they will cooperate and allow me to do so. So are you generally okay with that form of that testimony on your behalf? If you are, Rich has the originals for your signature. And which one of you would like to go? Or not like to go? Which one of you is willing to go? It's 9 o'clock Monday morning. We've got that county official function in the afternoon, but you can peel away after the hearing and get back.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to leave it at 2, so there's no rush to get back in home.
So which one of you would like to do this?
Oh, since you're already prepared for it, just go ahead. You know just as much about it as I do.
Okay.
Unless you absolutely.
No, I can go.
Okay. I'm good with that.
All right. Give me just 10 minutes. I'm done here to get before you adjourn, so that I can get that change made in here and have it. Because I talk in mine. I think mine's the
That's only yours.
Yeah, it's not in this.
We don't need you to wait.
Yeah,
It's not in
We don't
this.
need you to wait. And I'll just change the reference to who's there. And I won't say it's John. I'll say it's you.
Or if you do, at least spell it right.
Maybe. It could happen. Sorry to have to move this to the end of the meeting, but we found out when we did that they were going to have the hearing. Thanks very much. Unless you have questions, that's all I've got. Just ask you to sign the.
Do you need to make a motion?
Please.
Move to go ahead and sign this letter of support for Senate Bill 162.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded to support the written and oral testimony in support of Senate Bill 162. Favor?
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate your patience.
Oh, please sign, please.
I've got a question for you before you leave.
That'll teach you not to get up and leave, sprint out of here.
You can run fast. I done for John too, but he's scooted out.
Yeah. He's learning.
Before the meeting, I knew I had a question for him. I finally remembered it, wrote myself a note at first.
I had talked to Amanda about the commission wanting to talk about enforcement of short-term rentals at some point in time, so she'll get that on the agenda at some point. But I did relay that you guys had said you wanted to talk about it. Was the gentleman that's you probably know has been in your office, Mr. Coberly, that was here.
But there's been others too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't walk around doing that while you were doing your staff report. That we just, the only thing I did is we needed to move fast to the executive session because I wasn't. Sorry.
I hope this gets passed.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice if they don't change something in those comments.
That's the part that concerns me. I'm told that I got it out of the Senate committee. I think the House committee is going to be a little bit easier. And I was told that if you could get it to the floor of the chambers,
Did you keep one?
I did.
if they add exemptions and with the checks and balances is in it, nobody was going to have a problem with it. So.
Hope so.
Has the extension of Sedgwick gone through yet?
I think it did because I didn't actually check on that other than Tom said that the video was instructed because the video apparently it's out there. I haven't gone back and looked at it. 326.
Yeah, 326.
Yeah.
I can look at that because I subscribed to that change.
He said it was worth watching. And he actually said it was worth watching. I think for.
Was that an actual House bill? Or was it was Senate bill?
It's still Senate bill.
Yeah. 36.
Two.
I want to return to it, too.
That's a great question. I think it was a Senate bill.
Well, you said three numbers, so I'm assuming it was.
Yeah, it had to be.
Because House bills are usually four.
Okay, Senate bill. Now I've lost the number.
It can be 30 something.
Let's do some. I mean, I could find out because I've got this. Let me pull up his. He tells me. Get signed in again.
Sometimes it's afternoon. I might be that just,
I have two
questions.
I just hope they don't announce, we'll pass it as long as there's never another photograph.
Yeah. Hey, as long as it works.
Whatever, as I said, yeah.
All right, anything else?
I don't either.
Three.
And I would make a motion to adjourn the March 7th meeting of the Board of Raleigh County Commissioners.
Second. Been moved and seconded to adjourn the March 7th meeting of the Riley County Commission. All in favor?